What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it up over there, download the app, take it on the go. You got your Google and Alexa home device. Well, video streams up and rolling this morning, too, on Facebook and YouTube. Big thanks for making us a part of your starts on this November 7th. What do we got on a good old game plan for us all this morning? Well, tonight for hoops. If you're into hoops, Bucks hoping to end their losing streak tonight as they take on the Utah Jazz, who are also 1-6. This game will be in Milwaukee. Giannis officially listed as questionable for the game. Chris Middleton already out. We've got a kind of sort of a Chris Middleton update. I say kind of sort of because it's typical coach speak when it comes to injuries and such. You don't say a whole lot, but again, when you don't say a whole lot, doesn't really give you a whole lot of confidence in this thing. But we'll tell you what Doc Rivers had to say about the latest in Chris Middleton. And remember, it was back in October when there was some optimism, potentially, that Chris Middleton could play in that final preseason game or get some work in there. And yet we have yet to see him on the floor at all this year. And that was almost a month ago. So what the heck is going on here with Middleton? So we'll give you a little bit of an update and tell you what Doc had to say yesterday about Middleton. But I can't imagine what the reaction is going to be like from Bucks fans if they fall tonight taking on the Utah Jazz. So we'll talk some hoops. Speaking of which, Badger basketball is also back in action tonight, coming off their win Monday against Holy Cross. They're going to be taking on Montana State tonight. So game 2 of their season, game 2 of games that count. I should clarify there too. So, but Badger hoops also in action tonight. So plenty of hoops talk coming at you here this morning. We'll throw some football talk in here too as bye week continues for the Pack, but week 10 officially starts tonight. So again, Packers fans, you get a little bye week. Heck, I'm taking advantage of it. I'm going to go sit in a deer stand all day tomorrow. So, but we'll still talk a little football there and get set for week 10 and still talk a little green and gold coming at you here as the Packers. I'm not, one thing I'm curious too with the Packers, once in a while, it's not always the case, but once in a while, remember a few years ago when Dom Capers was still defensive coordinator for the Packers and they came out of the bye week with kind of a new look. A couple different things they did. One was when they put Clay Matthews at an inside linebacker. That was a bye week adjustment. And I think for the most part, a lot of people would agree it worked. Like he seemed like it was working over there. I believe one of the other ones too was like their NASCAR package too, or their Psycho package. One of those two. I'm curious if Jeff Halfley is going to do anything with that. And I'm curious too, with Preston, and now Preston Smith, by the way, he yesterday told the media in Pittsburgh that he requested a trade. He requested a trade to a 3-4 team that would better suit his skill set. So I don't know if this was of recent. Was it recent that he requested this, or was this at the beginning? When you knew that they were going to be a 4-3. But I know Preston was one of the guys that was kind of excited at the beginning, or at least he displayed that because he talked about his job now is just focusing on getting after the quarterback. But he said, "quote I got what I asked for." So, all right, there you go. He's not upset. Doesn't sound like he's upset or anything about it. Moving on from Green Bay there, but now with him and obviously a lot of talk with the youngsters and that. There's a really good piece on the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and it relates to some stuff that we have talked about off and on here too. But it's from It's from Pete Daughtry, who covers the Packers. Again, it's on jsonline.com or the Journal Sentinel. And talks about, should Quay Walker or Eric Wilson play at middle linebacker? And Pete kind of makes the case too about, hey, maybe it is time to get Eric Wilson those reps, more reps at middle linebacker, and move Quay over to a weak side, strong side linebacker. But now with Preston out too, I do wonder, with this bye week, will we see a little bit of a change there? Where maybe Jamin Davis is going to get some opportunities promoted up there. I know they got a roster spot open. Goody the other day did mention about Marshawn Lloyd getting that. And, with Davis, you can elevate him 3 times from the practice squad. I don't know, but I'm curious to see if they do make any of those adjustments. If they make any of those defensive adjustments surrounding specifically maybe the linebacker position and such. So, but we'll hit that up and kind of go through some of the. It's a good piece called Film Review on the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel if you want to take a look at it. And again, it kind of, I think, it just hammers home the point of a lot of things that we have talked about, you have sent in and such. So, but check it out. We'll hit that up coming up a little bit later on here. Too. So we got that kind of quiet right now on the baseball front. I know we got GM meetings and stuff, and maybe starting to get some rumors and rumblings out there. One of them surrounding Willy Adames. Apparently, there are teams out there that would be potentially interested in Willy Adames if he were to play a different position. Now, according to reports and rumors out there, Willy Adames is open to that possibility if it's for, obviously money-wise, and it's a contending team and such. And one of those teams should be no surprise but the Mets. Apparently, according to rumors, the Mets would be interested in him potentially playing third. They got Francisco Lindor over there at short. And there's been some talk, too, about some teams interested in him playing second base, too. So something to kind of keep an eye on out there. We mentioned it yesterday. There's some rumblings about Devin Williams potentially being traded too. That could also factor in why they didn't pick up the option. So we'll see. But GM meetings going on here, and that's where some of that talk starts to get going here. Obviously, one of the big prizes out on the free agent market is Juan Soto. And there's been lists of teams that have been rumored or reported to have already contacted him already, the ones that you would expect, including the Dodgers, but even Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was thrown in there too. So, but no Brewers. So anybody thinking, hey, no, not happening. So, but we'll throw some baseball talk in here too. We got Outdoor Tidbits with Jake Boakes coming up at 8:30. So get your questions on in for our DNR warden buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes. Hit us up with text on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. So we'll get to that at about 8:30. Also, we'll do some receiver defer, as always. If you have any receiver defers that you'd like to nominate or throw out there too, hey, we're open for that. Again, just hit us up with those texts, or you could comment on the video stream over there too. So that's the easiest and the quickest way to get things going here. We'll do a little Throwback Thursday just past 7 o'clock here as well. And anything else that's on your mind? Question, topic, ideas? Hey, why not throw that over? Okay, it's Thursday. We'll get a little crazy here, but let's get things going here this morning, shall we? The opening drive. They'll get things going here. So I'm ready for getting in the deer stand. I'll tell you that right now. But let's get things going here. That's your game plan here for us this morning. Let's start it off. Well, let's talk some hoops. We got that going on here. We'll talk some football here as well. And anything else that you wanna join in on the convo with. All right. What else is on your mind? Hit me up with some texts. 715-830-1912. Okay, we'll get to everything here this morning. Feeling a little crazy here. So, all right, quick break. We'll regroup and get focused again. Lead off coming up after these quick words. It's deer season, and now that we know that the main goal is to get that trophy deer, but what should you do after you get your deer? Easy. Take it to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking to get some bacon made, steaks, or snack sticks, Mike's has options for anyone when it comes to getting your deer processed. And if you have a full freezer and you want to donate your deer to those in need, Mike's Star Market is your deer donation site. Best of luck this deer hunting season. And remember, once you get that deer, bring it on in to Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire, because you know you will be getting the best quality products in return. Also, want to give best of luck shout outs. We've got some local teams who are participating starting today at the state volleyball tournament in Green Bay. Division 1, we've got Hudson's over there. Division 3, Barron. Eau Claire Regis in Division 4. Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran, the top seed in Division 5. So best of luck to the girls teams heading over to state volleyball that will be in Green Bay at the I believe over at the Rush Center. Yeah, Rush Center here this weekend. So,
did you mention Barron being in it?
Yeah, I said
okay.
it was the second
one. I didn't hear it. Good for you. I'm just double checking.
You're not paying attention.
Well, I just got in there. My hearing isn't what it used to be.
Hudson, Division 1, Barron, Division 3, Regis, Division 4, Emmanuel Lutheran, D5.
And of course, how many? And again, I haven't followed this as close as I haven't heard Brandon, but he'll be here tomorrow.
No, he won't be.
Oh, he won't be.
Because I won't be.
Oh, covering. Were you going hunting again?
Yep.
Did you do any good last week when you went out?
No, I got caught doing work, so I got out late, and that's a story I don't want to talk about because
you don't tell me you missed a big one.
No, but if I would have got there on time like I wanted to originally and did get caught up with work, there was one that walked through on my trail cam 20 minutes before I got into the stand.
Oh,
so it's a sour point right now.
Well, I don't blame you.
Yeah. Yep. So. But no, what were you gonna? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I would just because I just think to have these high school teams from our area participate, I think it's just so great. And high school football is going on. I'm not sure how many local teams are still in it, but
well, I got a list for you right here too because I was helping out our buddy Alex over at Wax was wondering who was still out there, so sent it over for 8-man because if they win this weekend, they're going to be heading off to their state game next week. That's Owen Withy. That's still alive. Division 1, I know they're a little bit east to us, but they play in Big Rivers and such. DC Everest is still alive as a 7 seed.
Oh, that's Memorial and North are with them now.
Yep.
What, the Wisconsin Valley Conference or something like that?
Yep. New Richmond versus Rice Lake, D2. That's going to be a good game, a 1 seed versus a 2 seed. My top seed of D3, Medford Raiders, still alive at it.
Ooh, good deal.
Baldwin Woodville, St. Croix Falls, again, a little bit east, but Stratford. I know we got peeps over there.
Stratford's always in it.
And, that or wrestling.
We do a lot of work with Stratford. They're a good school.
Yep. Eau Claire Regis versus Grantsburg, which is going to be a really good game this coming on Friday night too. Spring Valley versus Boyceville, another really good game, and Edgar is also over there too. So,
and it's supposed to be beautiful tomorrow, sunny and mid to upper 50s. Great night to get out and watch high school football.
Mm-hmm. And then put it on the calendars too, because if you haven't checked out the new Sonotag Center, they got their tip-off classic boys or men's and girls women's basketball this Saturday.
Because I saw a highlight on Channel 13 this morning when I was getting ready to do TV with the farm stuff over there in the morning Hello Wisconsin show, and they showed pictures of the Blue Gold basketball team, men's basketball. I said, that's Sonotag Center. It looks kind of old, but no, that was old film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's the Market and Johnson Blue Gold tip-off tournament that begins on Saturday. It's an all-day tournament for both men's and women's teams.
Remember when they used to have the holiday? Were you around when they had the holiday tournament? Mm-hmm. You know, the old Blue Gold holiday tournament, and they had Western Kentucky would come in here in some of those schools, and they don't have that anymore. That holiday tournament. Maybe they can revive some of that stuff. We get some good sponsors to bring some teams in. You got the nice hotel. I don't know what the status of the hotel is right next to the Sonotag Center. How close that might be to being finished, but yeah, things are looking good here. Unfortunately, not like Chippewa Falls on the announcement yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
Losing Leinenkugels. That's shocking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
1867 that was started, and now they're going to close it down. And I bowl in Chippewa Falls every Wednesday night. So I was there last night with a bunch of Chippewyans and not happy. They said, they're just retaliating for the strike of 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you got foreign ownership. They sold to Miller. Miller sold to Molson or somebody, and they could care less about Chippewa Falls. I mean, that hits Chippewa Falls like the announcement of Uniroyal closing hit Eau Claire years ago. That's an iconic business, and it's just a sad state of affairs.
No question about it. So, okay, let's switch gears here. Speaking of a little bit of hoops, the Bucks are in action tonight, riding a 6-game losing streak, going up. They're going up against the 1-6 Utah Jazz tonight. So maybe, just maybe, we got a chance. Doc Rivers, though, with a bold statement yesterday. I know we will be in the playoffs. Pretty much guaranteeing they will be in the playoffs this year. Bucks, not Jazz. But Chris Middleton's just this whole thing about him is it's confusing, because back in October there was some optimism that he could get some work in the final preseason game, final couple games, and yet we have to see him on the court. And Doc Rivers doesn't have any answers for anybody. Asked if the Bucks are looking for a return on a week-to-week basis as opposed to day and day, Doc said, "I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question that I can't answer." Rivers did say that if needed, Middleton would be able to give a live 5-on-5 practice the day of the game. He said that before the game Thursday today against Utah. Middleton will go 3-on-3. Rivers went on to say, everybody's different. Chris has had a lot of injuries and surgical stuff, so it's just not as fast as we thought it would be, and there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there is something wrong with that.
I was going to say it. I was just going to say the same thing.
I mean, I think there is something wrong with it if it's not going as fast as I get, probably trying to tamper it down, but no, it's not good. It's not good. But again, this is where I know, Middleton, even right before championship, he was a question for a lot of fans. Was he a number 2 or, a legit number 2 in that? This is what Giannis wanted, right? He wanted Middleton there. He wanted to keep Middleton around, and Middleton right now, we've seen it, I think, the last couple of years, has shown his age, shown that the wear and tear of his injuries is catching up to him. And at this point right now, I mean, I can't count on him to be on the court. What he said at the beginning of the year, he wants to play 70-some games. That ain't happening. I'll be happy if he gets 40 now, maybe at this point.
Yeah, and that's the sad part of it. The myth. I mean, and I guess the question is, and Giannis is a great player. He's done great things for the Bucks as far as notoriety, bringing real attention and just a lot of excitement to Bucks basketball. But have they paid too much attention to him as far as what he wants and things like that? Because he's a player and he knows he's got his buddies. I wouldn't want my buddies to be gone either. But and
it's pro sports, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. How real is this talk about him going to the Knicks or Miami or someplace like that? Is that something that's been contrived again in the media, or he's never said anything, has he?
No, it was. We kind of talked about it a couple times, but that was like the talking point before the season even started, that teams were going to pay attention to how well the Bucks were going to do this year, because if they don't do well, then that means that, in their opinion, Giannis is going to force his way out. To which I agree, and I played this clip yesterday. It was from Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins, and usually they get a little hot take-ish for me at times, but they said, Giannis, you can't duck and run. This is what you wanted. You have to lay in bed with it. This is they've done everything that you've wanted, from firing coaches, bringing in certain players, and that. You can't duck and run if it's not working out, because he's part of the reason why this is playing out the way it is right now.
Yeah, and obviously I don't think Giannis is going to be, when he's all done at this point in time, going to be anybody's choice for a general manager to build a team, because obviously he's doing it from emotion and who my buddies are.
Well, it sounds like another former Wisconsin player, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And how's it going for him?
It ain't going very well right now. Not at all. So, I mean, I know it's just that's the frustrating part, is because, and I honestly do feel like, if, let's say we get to after Christmas or right before the All-Star break and it's really bad for the Bucks, and all of a sudden maybe we start to hear a little bit more that Giannis wants out, I lose a little bit of respect for Giannis at that point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I heard you talking too yesterday about criticism of Giannis and Damian Lillard not working out together in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Lillard wasn't going to work. I put the blame on Damian Lillard. He was in Portland. He's making how many millions of dollars a year, and I don't know how to say this but is he being a big baby?
How so?
He wants to be in Portland, and I know he wants to be with his family, but you got a lot of money. Move him to Milwaukee. And I know he's going through a divorce and this, that, and the other thing, and that's not easy. But how much interest did he show in wanting to work? It was what I guess, everybody said, well, Giannis didn't work out with Damian Lillard. How much did Damian Lillard effort put in to coming back to working with Giannis? I mean, he's got all the money in the world. He can fly private jets, come back here and work out for a week or two, go back, come back and work out again. I don't know how much effort Damian Lillard put into this.
At the same point, Giannis decided to go overseas and play in the Olympics for Greece.
I don't blame him a bit for that.
But that's what I'm saying, like going to the point of Giannis, if there's not that working out, Giannis deserves some blame too, because, and I get it, if you want to play for the Olympics and represent your country and all that, this past summer.
In July, weren't they?
Yeah, it was right after the regular season and such, and right up to the off-season training camp and stuff like that. So, I mean, you got to make decisions too. If you want, that's fine. Yeah. But then at the same time, if that's going to derail you, or you're not going to be able to hook up with Dame or whatever, that's part of the risk or whatever too. I mean, I think Giannis deserves some blame for that though too.
Oh, I think they both do, but I don't think everybody's giving Giannis all the blame from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Damian Lillard deserves a little of the blame here. How much effort did he put into this? I mean, Jason Tatum was on the Olympic team. White was on the Olympic team, but granted, they weren't across the country. They were in, but I just think this is kind of oil and water with the Bucks right now.
I would say the difference between Tatum and White, they've at least played together for a few years. So, I mean, they've got that connection.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I just think the Bucks in this situation with Giannis and Dave, I'm sure they're good friends. They like each other, but not getting it together, it's a little like oil and water. I don't know.
I think it's two to tango.
Yeah.
It takes two to tango.
Exactly. And I'm watching them playing at this point in time, after playing together last year and early this year, they don't blend very well together. They really don't.
No, they don't. I think there's a different, I think too, the makeup of this team just doesn't fit the style of the current NBA.
I agree with you. I think you're right.
No offense, but like Brook Lopez just doesn't fit the style of the NBA right now. Great interior post defender. But you look at the big men now in this league. I mean, you're talking 6'9" and guys who play outside, or Chet Holmgrens who are 7 foot, but and
Wembanyama and Adebayo and even Joel Embiid, when he's playing, he knocks down that 3 foot.
The Joker too.
Yeah, the Joker. I mean, all these guys. You're not talking Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal anymore.
Right. So my question then too would be, and I know the NBA's positionless, but Giannis playing out of position. Maybe he needs to play a little bit more down low.
What position does he play?
Remember when Kidd wanted to make him point forward? Yeah, Jason Kidd, dribbling the ball up, and that didn't work.
Well, I don't think he's a good enough ball handler.
No. Not for, I don't want him handling the ball at point.
No,
he's not a Magic Johnson or anything like that.
Not even close.
Or Pippen even. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I think the makeup of this team roster wise, it just doesn't fit the current style of the NBA.
I think you're right.
And
because I look at all these other teams, I watched the Warriors and Celtics last night. The Warriors beat the Celtics. And then you watch some of the, you watch OKC and you watch Phoenix and Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is being underappreciated as far as how much he should be considered one of the greatest players of all time. Because you look at how old he is, and what last night he scored 30-some points, and the announcer says we're down to heard the replay. We're down to this, that, and everything. Got the ball to KD, 30-foot. He launches it. It's in. What else did you expect? He said, and that's pretty much Kevin Durant's career. I think he's really being underappreciated.
I'll save this for just when we take a quick break. But I'm glad you brought that up, because I got this new book in the mail, and I like it when I get advanced copies of stuff, and I didn't know this was coming. But it's a new book called The Basketball 100. David Aldridge, who has covered the NBA for God knows The story of the greatest players in NBA history. Look, it's 700 pages.
I was going to say, that's a thick book.
But they got the top 100 players in their opinion on here.
They got a lot of pictures in there?
They got pictures in here a little bit. Yeah, not a lot, though, but they got a few black and white ones in here.
But I've always enjoyed listening to David Aldridge, his thoughts on the NBA, because he's very insightful.
Mm-hmm. So outside of I'll kind of give it away. Michael Jordan's number 1.
Oh yeah.
LeBron's number 2. So, but besides LeBron, give me the next 3 current active players in terms of where do they, you don't have to give me the number, but like the next ones that are currently still playing that are on this list. Who do you think they are?
Well, I would assume Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And I would assume the Joker. And I think Jason Tatum is another one that's underappreciated, and I don't know if he's in there or not.
So,
and and you got some of these young players. I mean, a lot of these guys have to be established. Like, I think these 2 young guys from OKC, Holmgren and Wembanyama, are going to move into that if they're not already. And oh boy, let me run around the league in my head here quickly.
So I'll give you the top 10 because there's only one current player in the top 10.
Oh, there is.
Yep. Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Bill, Magic, Wilt.
Oh, I thought he was talking. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Magic, Wilt, Shaq, Duncan, Larry Bird, Kobe's at 10. So who's the
Kobe's at 10. Wow.
Yeah. Who would be the next? Who's the next highest current active player? Do you think?
After
LeBron.
After LeBron. KD, I would think.
Nope. Close. Steph Curry. Steph Curry's at 12. Olajuwon's at 11. KD's at 14. Yeah. Then Giannis is the next one at 22 already. At 22. To put it in perspective, the Joker's at 28. He would be the next one. Chris Paul, who's still playing. James Harden at 34. Kawhi Leonard at 35.
And, you look at Kawhi Leonard.
Russell Westbrook, 47.
And you look at, Westbrook, you look at Harden, you look at Kawhi. I don't see how they're going to move up. Their careers are definitely on the downward trend.
Luka's already at 53, according to them. Jimmy Butler's at 99. Draymond Green's at 100.
And I don't think he'll get any higher than that. What's he basing all this on?
They do actually have. Now, I just got this, so I haven't been able to do a whole deep dive into this, but so they got GOAT points. I'll have to figure out how they there's a bunch of different factors into this. Yeah. How do you rank the greatest players in history? So they got a formula. I'll have to figure out and read this through here.
Well, if they use the Olympics, Steph Curry's going to go up, because what he did in the Olympics in that championship game alone would move him up.
It's so their GOAT points are a little bit different than their rankings, because GOAT points 857.3. Again, I'll have to figure out how they figured it out, is LeBron. Then Jordan's 2, Kareem 3, Duncan 4, Malone 5, Wilt 6, Larry 7, Magic 8, Bill Russell 9, Shaq 10. Then Kevin Durant would be the next one for current active. He's at 12. James Harden's at 13. Joker's at 21. Giannis is at 22.
But it sounds to me like for Kevin Durant, in all these lists, no matter whether it's David Aldridge's book or other lists of people put together, KD has a hard time cracking the top 10 all time, and I think he should be in there.
And the question I threw out yesterday too for Giannis, and and maybe this kind of goes to it, does KD, are people still annoyed, upset, or don't give him, when he left in free agency to go to the Warriors? Does that still, kind of knock KD down?
You bet.
And I feel like, okay, what if Giannis says, all right, I want out, and forces his way out? Would Giannis get that same reaction? Even though he's already won a championship?
Because
it wouldn't be free agency.
So, because he's, abandoning Milwaukee, a franchise that, you get a once in a lifetime player, and he wants to leave. So what does that do to the Milwaukee franchise? I would assume it would take the value of the franchise way down. But public perception is fickle, to say the least. But I just think KD, based on performance, this is a business. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's money deal. People have to realize it's a money deal. These guys don't have allegiance to one city or one team anymore. They don't. Bill Russell was never going to leave the Celtics.
Right.
But in the modern world, would he leave the Celtics?
Probably.
If the Lakers offered him the sun, the sky, and the moon. It's a different world than it was back then. Yeah, we've got the guys that we love because they only played for one franchise. Bart Starr and the rest of them, Ray Nitschke. In this day and age, if Ray Nitschke was a free agent as a linebacker, the way he played, you couldn't pay him enough. I mean, he wouldn't be in Green Bay. So it's a different world. And I think people, gold diggers. Yeah, they are gold diggers because there's a lot of gold out there to dig. The owners got it all. Why shouldn't the players? And that's just the reality of the world today.
I agree. Like, I just don't assume anymore that somebody's going to stay with one franchise their whole time.
No.
Honestly, the only player that I got two players that came to mind right away that may stay with their franchise throughout their whole career. Steph Curry with the Warriors. Maybe Aaron Judge.
Yeah, that was the one I was waiting for you to say, Aaron Judge.
Those are like the only two.
Well, Mike Trout has
Mike Trout too,
wants to stay with the Angels. And, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I think he's really hurt his legacy by not taking advantage of free agency and going some. We've never seen Mike Trout play.
Right.
Off and on here and there.
Right.
But you don't see him. He's never in the playoffs. He's, you don't see him. You get no sampling at all of, it's all by what you see in the news and the highlights.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think of anybody in football, but I don't really know of. You'd almost just have to think of a quarterback. But again, how many times have we seen quarterbacks on the move too? I don't know.
T.J. Watt will never leave Pittsburgh.
That might be one. Yeah, that might be one. Although J.J. did for 2 years at the end,
but he was done.
I don't know. I would just say I'll never say never.
As an effective player, J.J. Watt was on the downhill slide.
Well, but injuries caught up to him big time.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. He couldn't play at the level he was when he came out and was player of the year and all this stuff. And TJ's the same way. He's still at the top of his game. Now, if in a few years he gets injuries and, gets dragged down a little bit and Pittsburgh doesn't want to pay him, somebody else wants him, he might change. But for all intents and purposes, TJ Watt is a Pittsburgh Steeler from beginning to end.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think like which quarterback, but I don't even know quarterbacks anymore. We've gone through it with Green Bay the last two Hall of Famers, so it's like I'm not even going to say Jordan Love at that point. So
no,
yeah, I don't know.
And he's a long way from Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's where it's I think frustrating as a fan though at points too and really get on the bandwagon teams because you just, especially the NBA, because you don't know if that guy is going to stay around.
That's right.
That's why I keep saying I think it's more of an individual sport at this point than it is as a team sport.
Yeah, it is. And well, the Bucks, you got Damian and you got Giannis. What else have you got? Not much.
Right.
Bobby Portis is so up and down, and he's not consistent like Drew Holiday. You watch him for the Celtics, and he's consistent. He's always there. Plays defense. He rebounds. He'll score you the points if you need. He can make a lot of assists. I mean, that's the way it is. The Bucks decided, and money is a factor. There's no question. You can't say 100%. The Bucks knew how good Drew Holiday was. It's a money deal, and we all get mad because we should have kept him. Yeah, we should have, but you're going to kick in a few dollars to pay his salary. These guys are going to follow the money. It's just the way they are nowadays. He had no allegiance to Milwaukee.
I did think of another player, by the way, football, Patrick Mahomes.
If Andy Reid retires and things change, somebody wants to catch lightning in a bottle like Jerry Jones in Dallas. Who knows?
I don't know. He's all invested in Kansas City.
Well, he is. So. I know that. I don't expect him to leave either, but yeah. I'd never say never.
That's the point of everything. Yeah, I'd never say never anymore. Yeah, We've learned too many times at this point. We
really have.
Because, I mean, if you would have told us 15 years ago Tom Brady would play for Tampa Bay the final 2 years or 3 years of his thing.
You wouldn't have believed it.
No. Like, what are you smoking? Don't give me any of that right now. So, but all right.
There's some speculation out there that Brady, being the part owner of the Raiders right now, are they going to bring Belichick in and give
I
him,
heard one of those.
Some of these rumors out there. They're fun to think about, but I think Belichick and Nick Saban have the world by the tail in the downhill pull, and they're making money on TV. They're making money with commercials,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got no pressure on them.
No.
I think they're in hog heaven. Why would you want to go back to that rat race?
I just wonder if between the two, if there was one that was most likely, I would say Belichick, just if he wants to beat the record by Shula.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Saban. I don't think Saban has any interest in any way, shape, or form,
especially at the college level now with everything going on.
No, neither one of them would go to college.
No. So,
in fact, when we come back, I want to talk about college football. Did you watch game last night?
Ohio, or I know we made that pick. Our good buddy, Mr. Mark over there, is a big Ohio guy. So yeah,
Mark Faunus. Yeah, I think his kid's a coach. Yeah.
So,
but no, I was watching Western Michigan.
Oh, you're watching that one? Okay.
Illinois, and an interesting comment I heard that I think is worth discussing.
All right. Well, we'll take a quick break, and we'll get to that to finish up the first hour. We'll also check out the texting line. If you got any texts or want to hit us up with a text, hit us up 715-830-1912. Coming up on Monday, we'll be doing the program over at Hy-Vee because it is Veterans Day, and Hy-Vee is doing their annual Veterans Day breakfast. Free breakfast for those who have or are currently serving. So stop on by starting at 6 a.m. For your free breakfast. And again, we'll be doing the program over there like we've done the last few years there. It's always really busy there. The one thing that always gets me is they always put out a map and they ask people to pin where they were stationed or where they served, and just to see that world map to where everything's at. That's pretty powerful stuff to see that.
Powerful, absolutely.
So, but big thank you to everybody out there who has served and continue to serve too. So
absolutely, I'm going to spend Thanksgiving, as a matter of fact, with my son who's in the U.S. Army in Albania. I'm going to Albania.
Really?
To visit him. So he's over 20 years now in the U.S. Army. So he's not a veteran yet, but he's got a lot of service. But anyway, as we mentioned before the break, I was watching Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, because, of course, Wisconsin played Western Michigan the first game of the year and didn't really do very well. And I was watching that game, and Northern Illinois, they won 42-28. I mean, it was 42-21, and Northern Illinois Western Michigan got a consolation touchdown. But the announcers in that game announced it more than once and made a point of it. And Northern Illinois, I don't know how many rushing yards they ended up with, but it was a lot more than Wisconsin had against Western Michigan. And they made the point of the fact that all 5 of Northern Illinois' starting offensive linemen, are from,
let me guess, Wisconsin?
Absolutely. All 5 of Northern Illinois' offensive linemen are from Wisconsin, and they pushed around Western Michigan. And these guys that are on scholarship at Madison that played Western Michigan didn't do anything like that. So, again, as Barry Alvarez said when he came in, we're going to put a wall up around Wisconsin and keep these kids at home. That wall is coming down, and all 5, I mean, not 4 out of 5, but all 5 starting Northern Illinois linemen are from Wisconsin. And I think that says something.
Yeah, I got, so they ran the ball 40 times for 258 yards last night.
Yep.
Ethan Hampton, their quarterback, threw just 16 times, 13 of 16.
That's Wisconsin football.
I'm bringing up the depth chart here a little bit just to see where they're all where they're from at here in Wisconsin, if it's going to load up for me. But
yeah, they didn't say the towns, and I'm trying to look at the back of their jerseys to see their names, but that got my attention.
Oh yeah, when you hear that, no question. Come on, ads, go away. So let's pop up ads. But it looks like the left tackle's from Sun Prairie. That's the one I was able to load up right now. Yeah, sophomore, Sun Prairie, Evan Melkor. Yeah, Sun Prairie.
Yeah.
Sun Prairie. So we'll see if the other ones will load up here for me. But man, that is.
And what is it? All-state tight end from Sun Prairie. You know where he's playing?
Where's he playing?
Tight end U.
Oh,
down in Iowa. Yep. Yeah. We're not keeping the kids in Wisconsin, and I'll tell you, part of that is having a relationship with the high school coaches. Now, I don't know if Fickle is doing that, building relationship with the high school coaches, or he thinks he doesn't need it. I don't know.
And that was a big knock on Gary Anderson right away.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. High school coaches made it known, too, that they were not encouraging their kids, but they were telling them, look beyond Wisconsin. Because of the situation there. And that didn't happen with Alvarez. Alvarez had those coaches prime buddies of UW football. He used those guys as scouts. He wanted their input on talent. And then he went and got that Wisconsin talent that they recommended. Now, with Fickle's doing that, I don't know. I would hope he would, because there are a lot of, we don't have the flashy, fancy defensive backs or these guys that are runners. Braylon Allen was an exception the last few years from Wisconsin. But we've got linemen and the front 7 in Wisconsin. And if he's not keeping them at home, which I don't think he is, I think there's things that need to change down there, because Alvarez had a successful formula.
So I've got Evan Buss, the other tackle. He's from Kimberly, which is a very well-known high school program.
Absolutely.
So you can't even say
Fox
that.
Valley.
Yeah, so you can't even say, well, that's a small town. Nope, that's a big-time high school program there. John Champy from Brookfield. He's a guard, senior guard over there. And how about this one? I'm going to butcher the last name, so I apologize. Logan Schersnitz Spencer from Spencer, Wisconsin. Not that far over from here over there.
Not.
So, and then JJ Lippy from Milwaukee. Whitefish Bay is his high school.
5 guys from Wisconsin.
Yep. Nice
starting offensive lineman for Northern Illinois that ran over Western Michigan, something Wisconsin's offensive line did not do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you lose them too because the starting was a right tackle or left tackle at Indiana, which is undefeated, is that kid named Wittig, and he played at Wisconsin for 2 or 3 years before transferring to Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some questions to be asked.
Oh yeah. We're was it? Oh yeah, that Iowa game. I was like, I'm getting the Penn State Iowa games mixed up. But
that was
I know last week you said, Braden Locke, worst quarterback in Big Ten. I think more people probably jumped on that wagon after that Iowa game with you.
All you got to do is watch him.
Statement.
He's afraid. He's afraid to play back there. He is absolutely afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what Fickle is doing to defend him. He's got a 4-star freshman that he recruited. If you're a 4-star freshman at this point in time, because I think even if they go 5-7, which that to me, if I had to bet 5-7, they're not going to beat Oregon.
No,
they're not going to beat. If they beat Nebraska, it's by luck. If they beat Minnesota, it's by luck. Because all 3 of the teams they play are better than them at this point in time. There's no question. I mean, that's a fact of life. And if he's got a freshman back there that's a 4-star freshman, and he's not going to play him because Locke is not going to win you any games. He just is not. Penn State, they had a shot at winning that game. Quarterback absolutely messed his drawers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid is you watch him, he's afraid back there. He is afraid to get hit. He's afraid, and he just doesn't. He's a Division II, maybe Division III quarterback. He's not a Division I quarterback, especially in the Big Ten. Now, maybe Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, Jackson State, some of those, but not in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the frustrating point of, don't you have anybody that's even qualified to try and replace this guy? If you got a 4-star freshman, either you misrecruited or I don't know, you're not trying to win. But people say, well, because of the reputation of Wisconsin, even 5-7, they'll get some minor bowl game, whether it be Detroit or something like that.
Yeah, one of the very first ones.
Yeah, that's based on graduation rates and how many were in the transfer portal, this, that, and the other thing. So they do take some of those things into consideration. But making a bowl game and having a winning season are 2 different things. And this team right now is not on track to have a winning season.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's in that point too. It goes back to the whole transfer portal thing. I'll tell you right now, I'd be a little bit worried that that kid's going to want to transfer out. Your freshman.
Oh, absolutely. And you got freshman running back Walker, the Tyree Walker, that's a running back. I don't know why he's getting all the reps, because they got a couple other kids that when they come in there are every bit as good as him, and they're not getting a chance. And these are highly recruited kids. They're going to go. I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to make them feel like they're a part of the team and they're going to play.
Yeah. It's frustrating. I mean,
but
you've watched it.
Watching Northern Illinois last night, it got even more frustrating for me.
I can imagine. All right, 1 hour in. We'll get back to more college football and football talk in general. Coming up in the next hour, we'll be back after these quick news updates. Second hour on this Thursday kicks off right now. A big thanks for tuning in, wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Speaking of, we were talking a little hoops last hour. Badger basketball is also in action again tonight. Second game of the year for them, coming off their win on Monday. They'll be taking on Montana State. But just a note too, Montana State has won the last 3 Big Sky tourney titles, and they've been in the NCAA tournament the last 3 years here too. And media has picked them to finish first in their preseason polls for their conference. So might be a little bit of a test for the Badgers tonight. We'll see. Hopefully, it won't start off as the game did against Holy Cross on Monday, where Badgers were down 20-5.
Oh boy, I didn't watch that game or see it or hear it or anything, but
yeah, they're down 20-5, down by 1 at the half, and luckily they outscored them by 25 in the second half to get that victory. So
that's good. And I assume Montana State's coming to Madison.
yes,
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So let's kick off this hour with a little throwback Thursday. And one of notes here, actually a couple. 1936, the New York Americans beat Toronto in the first coast-to-coast radio broadcast of a hockey game in Canada. And then in 1991, so I was only 5 at the time, so I don't really remember it all. So I'm going to ask you what the talk, perception, reaction was to this. Magic Johnson announced that he had tested positive for the virus that causes AIDS and that he was retiring from basketball.
My first reaction was, how long is he going to live?
Yeah.
I thought there was a death sentence
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
Yeah.
And here he is still alive and well and owns the Dodgers and everything else. But it helps one of the guys.
Part of the
Dodgers.
Commanders too. Yeah.
And the Commanders and all that. But that was my first thought.
Mm-hmm.
How long has he got to live?
Mm-hmm. I remember I did a high school freshman composition class. I did my research project presentation on him. But yeah, I remember watching a game where he came back in '96 on a little tube TV.
Yep.
Just watching that. I actually have a basketball card of him when he was a coach for a few games. They made a card of him on the sidelines coaching.
He had enough of that before. He didn't want that. But, it was interesting, and you can't blame the guys, but Karl Malone is one of the guys. When he came back to try and play, Karl Malone, I don't want to play. I don't want to play in a game with that. I don't want to have his sweat on me. That was the thought process at the time. We didn't know much about it. How would it spread? If I get some of his sweat in my eyes and it gets in my system, am I going to get it?
Yep.
That was the thing. I guess the ignorance of the disease among the general public at that time, even the medical world, is what, when you look back on it, are the things that came to my mind. Although, even at that time, I thought Karl Malone was overreacting, but that was just my opinion of it. But my first thought when he made that announcement, like I said, how long he's going to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was this day, and I can actually picture, because I've watched the
I remember it too. I watched
it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I
His
can picture it.
Was there with him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was, and you're right though too, because that's 91. I mean, to be still around, yeah, I think this surprised a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Surprised
and I don't know if it's gone into remission for him, if he's still taking a potload of drugs and medicines.
He always called it the cocktail.
Yeah.
It was like a cocktail of stuff.
So I don't know if he's still doing that every day or what it is, but whatever he's doing, it's working, and he's living a healthy, happy life right now.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I don't know what it means for his relationship with his wife or any of that sort of stuff, but from the public appearance, he seems well.
Yep. Hey, speaking of basketball, I wanted to make this note because I was scanning through the book here. So it's all about the players, except for one of the last chapter. And I want to turn this into a question. But it's a book for 678 pages, all about players. But then the last chapter, it's a few notes, but they make a point to it, how the shot clock saved the league. And it's a few pages under. I haven't read it or anything like that. But, I just thought it was kind of interesting that they put that part in a book that's all about the players, and they made a point to how the shot clock saved the league. And I know that's been a topic of discussion for high school, implementing shot clocks and
I hope
such
they
and that
do it.
too.
I hope they do it.
I think a lot of people do. So I want to turn this into a question. It could be during your lifetime or what you think in history. What has been the most influential, most like rule change that has really altered the game, either in a good way or in a bad way?
Basketball?
Any sport that you want to do, any sport. I'll throw it out to anybody out there that wants to chime in.
Well, I think immediately I think of the pitch clock.
I knew you were going to say
baseball.
That one. Yep.
In football, it's maybe not just one rule, but it's changing the rules to make it more of an offensive game in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those are some of the big ones. In college, I don't think it's anything they've done on the floor. I think it's what we've seen the last couple of years, NIL and the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know they had to change it because Dean Smith forced them to change the rule in college and put a shot clock in with his four corners.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nobody wants to watch that.
No. I still remember as a kid watching, I don't remember who it was, but there was a high school state basketball game on TV, and I remember watching as a kid. They held on the ball.
Yeah.
They just held on to the ball.
And what a poor advertisement that is for any sport to do that.
Right.
Let the kids want to compete.
Mm-hmm.
You can't compete doing that.
Right.
And I know some of these high school coaches, you run into teams that you can't beat because they got so much more talent. And I know it's a strategy. You can slow the ball down. If you got a 30-second or 45-second shot clock, use the shot clock. Don't come down and shoot right away. You can slow the game down, but you don't have to stop the game. Mm-hmm. And I think that has forced the hand of administrators to put these shot clocks in, and I don't think it's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. So what about the rest of you? What are some of the other rule changes in the world of sports that have really kind of altered or changed the game in your opinion?
And I don't really have a big opinion on this, but I think it's worth discussing this kickoff rule in the NFL, how that's changed the game. You like it or not? I mean,
it's boring.
It is boring. And I used to enjoy, I go back to, watching the Packers and, run these kickoffs back. I'm trying
Desmond Howard.
Yeah, but even before that, kid from Arizona State that the Packers drafted during their glory, Travis, I'm trying to think of his name, but he ran 2 kickoffs back in 1 quarter for a touchdown for the Packers. I think it was against the Cleveland Browns.
I know Willie Wood did as a punt returner a couple times too back in the day.
But I'm trying to think of what his last. Help me out, somebody. The guy
from the Lombardi teams.
Yeah, the Lombardi teams. He was from Arizona State kid, and he was really fast, and he ran kickoffs back. But there's been some, there's some, White Shoes Johnson. There have been some guys that have made the Hall of Fame. Gale Sayers.
Well, Devin Hester's in the Hall of
Fame. Yeah,
so.
Exactly. And Gale Sayers, he was one of the greatest running backs I ever saw. But boy, you don't want to punt him the ball because he had some unbelievable moves. He and what's his name from Detroit? Their all-time running back.
Oh, Barry Sanders.
Thank you. Boy, I'm getting old. Had a birthday yesterday. I'm getting old. But, some of those guys, the moves that they have, especially on punt returns, kickoffs is just straight ahead, find a hole and outrun somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But on the punt returns, and they haven't changed that rule. I understand that. But, that, and I don't know whether I like this kickoff rule or not. You say it's boring, and it's changed the game. That is for sure. And it's just odd. That's one that I'm not sure is going to hold.
And the frustrating point of it all too was that it was supposed to increase returns, and I don't know if it's done a whole lot of that. At least not for the Green Bay games. And I know, Keyshawn Nixon's won 2 All-Pro the last couple of years, but I don't feel like that's been the case across the league. And then the offsides part of it too, where you have to declare it. It takes the surprise element away, and you can only do it in the 4th quarter if you're down, and it's like, oh Lord, and what are we doing at that point? And that goes back to the comment I made yesterday. Like, okay, so if you're a special teams coach, how much does it, because like Rich Bisaccia is getting, I think, the highest paid special teams coach. But if you're like, you can't do anything creative, you can't really game plan anything, this is what you got to do.
For the Packers, that's a good thing.
Right.
With their coverage teams the last 10, 15 years.
The thing is, too, is like, well, why don't we transition into bringing in guys who are like coaches for specifically for kickers? You know what I mean? Like, especially, I know it's not the greatest example, and then again, players have to actually want to do it. But like, because you're still going to, great. Green Bay's got a veteran kicker, but eventually they're going to have to draft another one and try again with a younger guy.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, wouldn't you want to bring in maybe a guy like a Mason Crosby who has kicked at Lambeau for 15 years to mentor, to coach a younger kicker? I don't know if that would help, but like, I don't know what Rich Bisaccia, I honestly don't know, like, how much influence does he have, form, kicking wise, but golfers we always say golfers are like kickers. Golfers have swing coaches. Do kickers need kick, those
swing
kicker coaches,
putting coaches,
right?
Chipping coaches, and I don't know, I've never looked at it, but how many coaches are there now on a pro football team? Because you got the outside linebackers coaches, the inside linebackers coaches, the wide receiver coaches, the tight end coaches. You got a guy that coaches the center and the two guards, and a guy that coaches the tackles. It's not they say
quality
offensive
control,
line coach, but
all
but
that,
they've got underlings under them. So there are so many coaches on these teams nowadays. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'd be curious to know if a team would do something like that.
Hard to say,
especially because
don't
I feel
say
like,
never.
Well, I feel like in the NFL, kickers are turning into pitchers now, where teams want the guys who can kick the longest, but the accuracy suffers a little bit there too. Kind of like pitching now, where it's like you guys want the guys who throw the hardest. The accuracy is kind of suffering at that point.
Yeah, I want a guy that's automatic from 45 yards in.
Mm-hmm.
You can kick one. How many times are you going to try a field goal from over 50 yards?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to try it one a game.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a decision that these coaches have to make. But the kicking game, and I don't think some of the decisions, some of the rule changes they made in the pros are positive from a fan standpoint. And I know they're trying to cut down on injuries from all that stuff too, but which, save one guy a headache or a concussion and lasting brain injury, that's worth it. But from the excitement of the game, I don't like it.
Yeah. Ben says, is it Travis Williams you're thinking of?
Travis Williams. Thank you, Ben. That's my boy.
All right.
Oh, he ran back those kickoffs. He ran back a bunch of them.
I was looking him up here too. Yeah, he's got NFL single season kick return record, 41.1 yards per average. I don't know if this is still a record. It says here NFL kick return touchdowns in a single season, 4.
Yep. I think he had 2 in one quarter. Like I said, I think I remember that game. I think it was against Cleveland.
Let me see if I can. Yeah. Yep. Among the returns were 2 in one quarter against Cleveland to set another league record. So remember, he's not too far off.
No,
not too far off there for your age right now.
Another week out of the home, so before I have to go in.
Passed away though at 45.
Yeah, he was a young man when he passed away, but he was exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And once in a while, they'd put him in on offense, and he'd break one, and they didn't catch him.
Yeah, yep. So, for a rule change here, we got Jacob on the X/Twitter. Instant replay. Jerry Rice fumble, not fumble. We don't need that. It's a Packer playoff game. I think if anybody doesn't know what he's referring to over there.
I know a lot about it. And the thing about that
instant replay, is that, I mean, that's sports.
Changed. But and the thing is, that call did not need instant replay.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so obvious that he had fumbled that ball. It was just unbelievable that the officials, and you got 7 officials on the field. You got side judge, line judge, you got the back judge, you got, you got to see that ball is out. I don't know what they were looking at to miss that. That was one of the biggest missed calls ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was against the Packers, so I'm going to say that. But, and it's the same thing against the recent game. It's not, you don't have to go back in history. The recent game against the Vikings and the 49ers on the Darnold play.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're referring to. Yep,
they completely missed that call too.
Mm-hmm.
In the, to the detriment of the Vikings. I mean, it is what it is. They missed the call, and with instant replay, how can you miss a call? Back then they didn't have it, but so I mean, referees are human beings, but that call, how that wasn't fixed in the Viking 49er game is one thing. The 49er Packer game, that they just missed something that, that's like not seeing a semi drive in front of you in your car to miss that call.
Right.
But yeah, they don't get them all right, even with.
That's true.
With the replay.
John says on our texting line, I think making the extra point from the 20-yard field goal to a 33-yard field goal makes the game more exciting. Puts a little bit more. Got to make sure you have that kicker. A little more importance on that kicker position too. So,
no question about it. But I don't have. I don't know if I like that keep moving it further back. Then it's not an extra point. Then, if you want to move it back, here's a thing to think about. Okay, you move it back to where it is now. It's 1 point. You move it back another 10 yards. The team has an option of going back and moving it back 10 yards and making it 2 points. The farther back at offense, instead of going for 2 points on that play from the 2-yard line, move the kick back where you got to kick it from, the 40-yard line or whatever.
Make it a 50-yard field goal, essentially?
Making a 50-yard field goal to get 2 points. I would like some kind of an option like that.
So essentially you'd have 3 options.
Yeah.
Interesting. Again, puts the onus on making sure you have that kicker that has that leg.
Yep. And the accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
And you get in places, and for a lot of these stadiums where they're, Minnesota, Detroit, New Orleans, they're indoors. No big deals, no question. Yeah, if I can get 2 points from my kicker kicking 40, I'm going back there because there's no wind. In Green Bay, Chicago, some of those, open fields, open air stadiums, then it's a different decision.
The only thing I think you'd have to maybe alter is say a team elects to go for the 1 point extra point, but then they get a penalty and they move it back 10, 15 yards.
Nope.
It should still remain a 1 point at that point.
Yep, I agree with you.
Don't is like, oh, that's a 2 then, and they make it, then you're kind of rewarding them for getting a penalty.
No. If you start out 1, you get a holding call and you move back 15 yards, it's still a 1 point kick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the way I would handle it. But, they're going to put some of those things in, put them in.
Mm-hmm. Hey, speaking of football, let's switch gears here. Actually, first, I want to bring this up before we get to football because I saw this article up here. Since we're talking about a little bit of college basketball, so we know the Kohl Center, they underwent some renovation too with their seatings down there with like first row seatings and that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So this is from BadgerExtra.com. Good write-up here from I want to give the credit to Todd Milowski. It's getting more expensive to sit near the Kohl Center court as Wisconsin tries to generate more revenue for an era in which it'll share some of its profit with players. An opportunity to downsize the width of the arena's hockey rink to the NHL standard also let Wisconsin replace regular seats with premium areas for both hockey and basketball. There are 188 new premium seats for basketball and 134 for hockey, all carrying a much higher price than what had been available in those spots before. Want to know how much it costs to watch a basketball game in these new seats per game?
How much?
$775 per game to watch the University of Wisconsin men's basketball team from the most expensive new seats at the Kohl Center. The 5-year commitment asked for as part of obtaining a first row spot in courtside ledge seating that was added this offseason will set buyers back nearly $87,000 per seat over the length of the term.
And so they'll pay $87,000. Now I'm going to sit 10 rows back. How much is my seat going to cost me? And what are they going to get out of that seat other than maybe they'll get their mug on TV, when they scan the benches and the scorer's table and this, that, and the other thing. But we're getting into la-la land, just out of sight land. I mean, it's just, and I understand they need to raise revenue for the transfer portal and the NIL. I understand that. And thank goodness there are people that will probably buy those seats. What's his name? The lawyer Gruber Law, one call, that's all.
He'll
probably buy those seats.
Hudson even knows who he is because from Brewers games, and now he's got the billboards, and he's like, one call, that's all. He just he knows it, but that's marketing.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And thank goodness there are those people around that are those kind of fans. and other fans and more normal everyday fans like yours truly.
Yeah, I'll never go now.
I get no, I won't be there. But I mean, I've got my season football tickets. But again, you got to give them some product.
Well, it's so
I'm not going to pay $100,000 for a Nissan Rogue. If I'm going to pay that much money, I want some quality. And it's questionable right now what you're getting for that.
So a little bit more here because it's actually going up quite a bit as soon as next year. The prices
no
are already
offense
increased.
To Nissan Rogues, by the way. that popped into my head.
4 areas near the floor with ledge seating, a rolling or high-topped padded chair behind a counter, and 2 rows of wider padded club seats are also include access to one of the Kohl Center's club spaces with all-inclusive food and non-alcoholic beverages and a cash bar. One of them, the Krantz Club, is being constructed on the arena floor level and is expected to be ready in January. The proximity to the court and the club access is a big ticket for men's basketball games and escalating in future seasons, according to prices provided by Wisconsin. A season ticket for the first row of courtside ledge seating costs $9,000 and is already scheduled to climb to $13,000 next year. That's not including $5,000 toward what's identified in marketing materials as a tax-deductible charitable gift per seat per season. The second ledge row is $8,000 plus a $4,000 gift. That ticket price is already going up next season to $12,000. So,
there's a lot of comments I could make. But, is that a dyed-in-the-wool fan, or is that somebody that's using these as, business? Maybe they're using it for marketing. Give it to some clients, and hopefully it'll sway their decision. Is it, or are they dyed-in-the-wool basketball fans?
Right.
Because you got to give them a better product to charge them that kind of money. That you can't just do this oblivious to how my team is performing. North Carolina, Duke, they're always going to be there. Kansas, they're always going to be there. But in the Big Ten, you look at all these teams. Michigan, where have they been? They used to be a traditional power. Who's the traditional power in the Big Ten right now?
Probably Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State. Indiana seems to be
there.
but they've got the tradition. So I don't know.
I'm not counting Oregon or USC or any of the UCLA right now. That's
not yet.
That's not Big Ten yet for me. So this
is Madison, Wisconsin. This isn't Los Angeles.
Well, when I think of like college basketball arenas, you mentioned a couple of them over there too, and I get it. You got to figure out funds, but I'm thinking of the student sections, the Cameron Crazies. Those. The kids up close to the court and making that home.
The is zone at Michigan State.
Right. That's what the Clippers' new arena is trying to emulate is college atmospheres with their games and all that. That's what I think about that, not the fancy seating, next to watch these games.
I mean, you're getting now to a big ticket item. This isn't like paying an extra $50 a ticket to move from the 30-yard line to the 50-yard line in the football stadium. You're talking thousands of dollars here, and where is that point of no return?
Right.
I think we're getting close.
There was so a part of this. It's also a link to another article that I had missed.
And the economy is going in the tank, but they can charge that kind of money, and somebody's going to pay for it.
So this was actually an article from back on the 23rd from the Wisconsin State Journal. Wisconsin's plan for sharing revenue with players: fewer Badgers, more logos. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Chris McIntosh said there will be 80 to 100 fewer Badger athletes because of roster limits that will replace scholarship caps as a result of the new court dealings and settlements and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, you're gonna have fewer Badger players now at this point.
Oh yeah. So what chance do you have then of a walk-on all of a sudden getting a chance to play, and they say, hey, that kid can play? Those kind of kids aren't going to be around anymore.
All right. Yeah, I guess if you can afford to go to the Badger game, oh my gosh. I get it. I understand it. You got to make money and all that, but still, that to me is not college basketball environment.
No, it's getting away from it. It really is. And it's problem is they're being forced to do it.
Right.
I don't blame them for trying to do it.
Yep.
Because of the NIL and the transfer portal, the money that they need to make. And, let's face it, funding for the University of Wisconsin from the legislature has been way down the past 15 to 20 years. And they're not going to fund athletics anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to fund the educational part of the university. So, you've got to come up with that. You've got to have the boosters to kick in that money. And I don't blame them for trying to do this. It's just that, man, this goes from all of a sudden you're going from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
There's not a progressive move up. This is 0 to 60, going from, paying a premium for those seats on the floor to paying an exorbitant, in my mind, premium. I just think it's really going to light speed in a hurry.
Well, and I wonder too, I mean, say Wisconsin's playing well, but then Duke comes in. Secondary market for those tickets. Whew, they're going to be probably way up there.
Oh, yeah, that's possible. I don't know what the secondary market would be for a ticket like that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But I'm sure there's going to be somebody that might want to pay that.
And a lot will depend on matchups too.
Yeah. But it's going to be part of this is ego driven. Who wants to sit there and be seen on TV? Who wants to pay that kind of money? And people will see them and say, "Oh boy, look who's down there. They must have it's it's something that you just got to get used to. We're not used to this. This is new.
Yep, it sure is. All right, we'll take a quick break here, and then we'll get to some football. We also got receiver deferred coming up this hour. So if you have any nominations for receiver defer, you can text those on to us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Coming up next hour at about 8:30, Jake Boakes will be joining us, our Wisconsin DNR warden buddy, answering your questions. So send those on over. I did get a few of you asking about the proposal for the new deer units out there. I did send that over to Jake. Just a reminder too. Jake doesn't have a whole lot of say in that. He's the warden, he just doesn't enforce it, but he does know about it, and we'll talk a little bit about it. So. No, quite a few of you asked that question, so we will make sure to get Jake's input on that. So, but any other questions, make sure you text those on over to us at 715-830-1912. We'll do some receiver defer coming up here in just a few minutes. How many do you have right now? You got your homework? Got a couple?
I got a couple, 2, 3, and
oh boy,
it's growing.
It's growing. I like it. So. Obviously, no Packer game to focus on this weekend. They're at the bye. Mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Preston Smith was traded the other day. Preston Smith telling the media in Pittsburgh that he requested a trade to go back to a 3-4 style defense, and said, "quote I got what I wanted." So anybody thinking that there's any animosity or anything like that, there is none from Preston. So. There you have it. He's over to Pittsburgh. We'll see if he can maybe help out TJ Watt over there.
Yeah, he was not as effective as he had been in the past.
Yep.
So wish him well.
Exactly. And I think it was best for both parties. I know some people are saying, well, it's just 7th round pick. Well, here's the thing. If he was playing better, he would have gotten a higher one. Or maybe he's still with Green Bay if he's playing better too, because they need help with pass rushers.
Yeah, I was surprised by the 7th round. I thought, he's a 5th, something like that. But obviously, they're trying to make everybody happy, and I think Pittsburgh came out the best on the deal.
Yeah,
because he's a good player in a 3-4.
Yep. So, but Lucas Van Ness, man, my patience is wearing thin. I know you're only in your 2nd year.
Rashad Gary, my patience is wearing thin on him too.
Well, I mean, if Lucas Van Ness would play better, maybe Rashawn Gary would benefit somebody like that. But I don't care. Here's my thing, and I went on a tangent the other day. I get it. I get rotations, keeping guys fresh. Rashawn Gary needs to play more than 60% of the snaps.
100% agree.
Because you look at guys like TJ Watt, even Aiden Hutchinson before he got hurt, Max Crosby, those guys. Max Crosby's got games 100% of the snaps. They're in the 80s, 90s. Rashawn Gary's highest is in the 60s.
How much is he lobbying for that? He doesn't look to me like he cares a whole lot about the fact that, well, if I'm in, I'm in. If I'm not, I'm not. He doesn't, he's not a Max Crosby, Aiden Hutchinson type personality of, I want to go. Don't put a collar on me. I'm going in.
There's only one Packer this year that eclipsed 70% of the snaps on the defensive end side. That was Preston Smith in week 2.
Nope.
I mean, I get it. I understand if you want to keep guys fresh, but if you're not getting any production from those guys, play your better ones more. Well, let them wear down, tackles throughout the game and such. Gary's got to play more than 60% of snaps.
I think so too, and I think you need that for consistency. The guys that are in there, like Kenny Clark, is in there a lot, but now he's got who's playing next to me on this side and that side. Now, what can I expect them to be doing? These defenses that are good, these guys are playing all the time. They know what the guy next to him is capable of doing and can do. Packers with, Van Ness playing once in a while, Rashad Gary playing maybe a little more than once in a while, but not a lot more than that. That's one thing that's always driven me nuts too, is this rotation. If these guys aren't in shape to play, that's their fault and your fault. They've got to be on the field, and they're not going to get any better standing on the sidelines.
And I'm sorry, but don't be paying a guy to be one of the premier pass rushers if he's only barely playing over half the snaps.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. It's a frustration for me to watch those games, and I know everybody else. 52 isn't making tackles standing next to the floor.
Right. And, I mean, you look at other positions, Xavier McKinney, Jair when he's out there, and Keyshawn are all playing 100% of the snaps. So I don't want to hear anything like, well, he's rushing the passer on every down. Those guys are running and chasing receivers and doing all that stuff 100%. And a lot of those other guys like Keyshawn's playing special teams too. I don't want to hear that excuse.
TJ Watt isn't standing on the sidelines.
No. Nope. And he goes 100 miles per hour every single play.
That's the thing that's One of the things that drives watching that Packer game, I didn't watch it all against Detroit. The Packers are not tough against teams like, Baltimore and Detroit. They're not tough. And I'm not talking about making a tackle, standing up and making that He-Man pose or getting in somebody's face after they make a tackle. I'm talking about knocking somebody on their backside, getting up and going to your side of the ball and doing it again. Packers are not tough enough at this point in time. And that's the concern I have that, you first of all, how often are these guys playing? We just talked about that. And if they're not playing all that much, how tough are they? I don't think they're very tough. And I'm not talking about dirty or, all those. I'm about hitting somebody and making them know they've been hit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just the Packers are not at this point a tough football team.
All right. Should we do some receiver defer?
Sure.
We'll do a really quick break here just to catch up on things.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll
You're
do
talking too much.
Yeah. We're grinding our gears too much, it sounds like, on a Thursday. So, all right. Quick break. We'll be back in just like 2 minutes. Alrighty, time to do some receive or defer to finish up the second hour. Flying on by already here this morning. So, without further ado, we'll give you the honors, sir. Man, you got to turn your mic.
Yeah, that's why I'm still the intern. But just kind of a fun one from what we were just talking about before the break. Receiver defer. You would rather go into a dark alley with Dan Campbell rather than Matt LaFleur.
You'd rather go in a dark alley with Dan
If I had to walk down a dark alley in a big
as
city,
like your buddy?
Yeah.
Okay, not like meet them in a dark alley?
No.
Okay,
If you have to walk down a dark alley in a big city, I'd rather go receiver defer Dan Campbell or Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, I'd go Dan Campbell. That's for
and
sure.
I think that translates into what we were talking about as far as all right. Receiver defer. Chris McIntosh is the most nervous person in athletics in Wisconsin, and that includes Doc Rivers and everybody else.
I will receive that.
More than Fickle even, because he's got the whole program to deal with.
Yeah, McIntosh was the one who made the decision of Fickle over Jimmy Leonard.
Yep.
Right? So, yeah, I would receive that.
All right. And receiver to Fur. If Giannis does move to a different team, the Bucks will get less in compensation they did when they traded Kareem to the Lakers.
Ooh. Do you remember what they got in?
They got all kinds. They got about 9 players, including Brian Winters,
Okay.
who was an all-pro guard, but not Kareem. And then they got some draft choices. So they got a pretty good haul of players, but I mean, it was quantity more than quality.
So I got the players actually here. Elmore Smith, Brian Winters, Dave Myers, Walt.
Dave Myers played a lot of basketball. A kid from UCLA played. His sister was Annie Myers, married Don Drysdale. She was a great basketball player, and she tried out for the Indiana Pacers in the NBA, as a matter of fact, back then. Nice. So Dave Myers played a lot of basketball for the Bucks. Good basketball.
Walt Wesley, and now part owner Junior Bridgman was a part of that too. So
good players, but altogether, I'd still rather would have had Kareem.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm going to receive. I think they would get less because I think you're going to get a lot of draft picks involved, and we don't know how those draft picks are going to play out.
Draft picks are nothing in the NBA anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so too. But you think about it. And receiver to first, something else we receive strictly from a fan's point of view, disregarding the revenue. Move the benches back to the middle by the scorers table in basketball. I hate that when all these fans, 6-8 fans, are on either side of the scorers table, and then the benches start after that.
It's so awkward to watch that, isn't it?
It is. That's a good word for it. Awkward.
That's always like bugged me. Like, it'd be cool as a fan to sit there, but I'm sitting there, I'm like, but if you're a player or a coach, especially your coach, how awkward is that?
Well, and for the people sitting there.
Right.
If you're in Milwaukee and you're sitting between the scorers table and the Boston Celtics bench, the coach is pretty much standing right in front of you, walking back and forth. And you can't hardly cheer.
Mm-hmm.
You look at those people, they're not cheering very much in those first seats. I just think it's really awkward. That's a great word for it.
Yeah, it's just that's I've always thought about that too. And I'm like, I feel like if I'm sitting there, it'd be cool to be that close, but then I'd be like, I have to be on my best behavior. Sort of.
And those fans are still going to pay the same amount of money. I just think those seats are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all
I got one for you.
All right.
So after that game against the Lions, not even after, it was like kind of during. Your Twitter peeps out there, your ex peeps. I know you're big on that platform.
I didn't see a lot of them because I was busy doing that. Normally I do.
Very critical of Matt LaFleur receiving again the kickoff.
Scored points. They should have had a touchdown. You go, not me.
And Matt LaFleur was actually asked about it after the game. He said it's a, quote, gut feeling for him on whether to defer or receive after winning the coin toss. Started receiving more at the midway point of last season and continues to go that route this year. Quote, I think there's something to just getting a lead.
I agree with him 100%. And I'll go back to the Tampa Bay game in the playoffs when Brady was here. They gave it up. They went behind 7-0, and they were behind the whole game, always trying to catch up. They got ahead 3-0. Should have been 7-0. That's one criticism I have. The LaFleur doesn't have enough plays in the red zone, especially inside.
Red zone's awful.
Yeah, especially inside the 10 and inside the 5-yard line that can create. You look at some of these teams and some of these they don't run them out in the middle of the field, but special plays that they have down there, the Packers have none. They don't have any of these, I don't want to say trick plays, but plays that are against their normal formation, their normal rotation that confuses the defense down there. Packers have none. And, they go up 7-0. They went up 3-0. I have no problem with that.
Let me, so I'm glad you brought up red zone because that's been a grind my gears this week too. So let me go through the years of when Matt LaFleur first got to Green Bay. These were where the Packers ranked for red zone offense, touchdowns only.
Mm-hmm.
First year in 2019, they were the second best. 2020, they were the best, number one. 2021, 18th. 2022, 23rd. 2023, 17th. This year so far, 29th. Now,
no imagination.
Well, here's my receiver defer. So the first couple years when they were second and first, the person, from what we were told back then, that came up with the red zone offensive packages was Nathaniel Hackett. So receiver defer, I'm assuming, let's assume maybe, is it Adam Stenavich, who's the offensive coordinator, has those same responsibilities? Receiver defer, do the Packers really miss Nathaniel Hackett at this point for just the red zone offense? Because
inside the 10-yard line, they do.
Because
it's obvious.
I'll even say, like, the first year without Hackett, they still had Rodgers and Adams, and they were 18th. They dropped from first to 18th. Is the common denominator Nathaniel Hackett at that point?
It's a logical conclusion to draw. There's no imagination. They don't have an offensive line that is a drive blocking the line. That, you get on the 1 or 2 yard line, there's a reason they don't do the tush push.
Because they do the tight end push.
Yeah, they get their tushes pushed backward instead of going forward. And so I think there's a real drop off there. And if the Packers were, what'd you say they were this year?
29th in red zone. Yeah.
Well, you go up to 15th. How many more points is that? And instead of being 6-3, they may be 7-2, 8-1. Who knows? Too many field goals.
The thing that bugs me about their red zone offense too is that they shouldn't be 29th when you look at the different weapons they could utilize, right? Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson, who's a tall, big receiver. Romeo Doubs probably has the strongest hands. You have a gadget guy like Jaden Reed. It's not like they don't have options to go to here. I will ask this receiver defer that somebody threw out there a little bit earlier in the week. Receiver defer, should they incorporate Malik Willis in red zone packages with his athleticism?
I don't think that's a bad idea. Should Malik Willis have played the last game, not Jordan Love, too? That's another receiver defer. But anyway, you go watch Andy Reid's film. Go watch some of these other coaches' films of the plays that they run and copy them. There's no reason you can't copy them. Jordan Love is supposed to be the next savior as a quarterback. There's no reason he can't do this. And if he's not physically able to run some of these gimmick or gadget plays in the red zone, put Malik Willis in. He can probably do it.
Right.
But, how can they consistently get their tight ends open? A lot of these teams, they're doing it. Laporta is doing it. Hawkinson is doing it. Travis Kelce is doing it. And once in a while, the Packers will get Kraft open, but not consistently. So copy what some of these successful teams in the red zone are doing. Formations, men in motion, whatever the case may be, because we have no imagination in the red zone.
Receiver defer, if you were to give a midterm grade to Jeff Hafley in his first half of his season with the Packers as defensive coordinator, it would be at least a B.
I was going to say between a B and a C.
So B minus?
Probably B minus, C plus, something like that.
I
think it goes back partly to what we were talking about just a little while ago. These guys aren't playing. You got to have these guys on. If they're going to be different first-round draft choices, highly contracted players, they've got to be difference makers, and they've got to be on the field. You can't have these guys on the sidelines. You don't get consistency in your defense.
These were some rankings that I thought were interesting defensively because, for a while, for these last few weeks, most times it felt like Green Bay's second half defense has been really good. Well, the numbers show this, but here's an interesting thing. First quarter, so these are Green Bay's defensive rankings, points allowed by quarter. First quarter, fourth best. I'm going to skip second quarter here for a second. First quarter, fourth best. Third quarter, 10th best. When they get to the fourth quarter, Green Bay's got the second best defense in terms of points allowed. Pretty good, right?
Wonderful.
Except for when you get to the second quarter. 30th. Fourth, 30th, 10th, second.
I can't explain it. I don't know.
That's such a huge drop and such a huge wide range over. But then when you think about it, you kind of think, oh, I remember that. Oh, yep, I remember that in the second quarter. You probably can't pinpoint exact ones over there. And I know the pick six was Jordan Love's fault. It wasn't defense in that last game there. But still, it's like, huh. By the way, another interesting fact with the red zone attempts that I had saved. So they're 29th in coming over the touchdowns. It's not like they haven't had opportunities. They have the 8th most red zone scoring attempts in the league. That means they've been to the red zone the 8th most, but they're
And they're not
29th.
coming away with points.
No, they're
That's what I
29th
say.
in touchdowns.
They have the most unimaginative red zone, especially inside the 5-yard line. Most unimaginative offense. You don't have players, exotic plays, movement. Maybe the guy in motion throwing a pass back to the quarterback. There's nothing there.
I think it was a couple weeks ago when LaFleur was asked about, because there was one play that I think maybe a lot of us would remember a few years ago as part of that red zone success. It was like whenever Marcedes Lewis finally got a catch, it'd be the fake handoff, but Marcedes Lewis was always in as a blocker. Then he'd roll out and he's wide open.
Yep.
And LaFleur was actually asked about that a couple weeks ago, and his response was, "Well, I don't have a blocking tight end like Marcedes Lewis is, but okay, adapt, right? Come up with something a little bit different at that point."
Yeah. Put in an athletic tackle or somebody that can go out there and catch the ball.
Remember Julius Peppers tried doing that one year, and everybody just freaked out because he dropped it. But you know what? If he would have caught it, everybody would have thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, great play. The play call was good. The execution was poor.
He was open.
Oh, yeah.
He just didn't catch it.
No, he didn't catch it.
So
another strike against Julius Peppers.
The Hall of Famer Julius Peppers.
The Hall of Famer is Julius Peppers. But in my remembrance of Julius Peppers, there are some things that weren't Hall of Fame like.
It just flashed in my mind too. Yep. Good thing that shot clock just cut us off, right?
Oh,
hey, it's shot clock. Biggest influence in the NBA. Maybe the best thing for this program too. We'll take a quick break here. We got some news updates. Final hour coming up after these quick words. All right, final hour here on this Thursday morning. Kicks off right now. By the way, I just got to confirm too, because somebody had asked for the Veterans Day breakfast at Hy-Vee, starting at 8:00. The bar at Wahlburgers will be open too if you want a Bloody Mary or anything like that too. So passing it along because I know I did get somebody that asked me that too. So, but veterans, for those who have or currently serving too, stop by for your free breakfast on Monday morning at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire.
You're going to be flipping eggs or what?
I'll be doing a show from there, so
Well, you're going to flip eggs.
I could probably do two things at once.
Absolutely.
No, don't put me more to work, man. Volunteering for that. So it should be a lot of fun though. We've done it the last couple of years over there, and it's
nice.
a steady.
Hy-Vee does that.
Yes,
great effort.
Absolutely. So, by the way, I know because Thursdays they're steak nights. I got to tell you this. Sunday, because I've been hearing about it, but they've got a Salisbury steak meal, and I haven't had a Salisbury steak in a while.
I love Salisbury. Every Sunday they have that?
Every day, but get this, every day. I should show you the picture. I took it. You get
I love that.
2 Salisbury steaks,
gravy,
mashed potatoes and gravy,
little onions in there.
And
oh man,
what other side you want? I went with corn.
Yeah,
$4.99 every day.
Wow, I'll be over there.
Yeah, it's not skimpy. Like it reminded me of like a good old cafe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like going to a cafe and just getting us for $5. It was loaded and heavy. So I was like, oh, I got to tell Bob that.
Ooh, I will be having Salisbury steak. I love that.
Yep, and 2 of them in there, man, loaded up with gravy in it. So you can't beat that deal for $5.
I guess not.
So, but yeah, I'll even show you I took a picture because it's like legit. They don't skimp you out on that thing.
I've got the picture of it in my mind. I'm waiting for it.
So every day, $4.99 over there.
That'd be my lunch today.
I'm looking at the picture again. It might be mine again too. So, but yeah, a lot of good stuff over there at good friends from Hy-Vee. Hey, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we got Jake Boakes as we're getting closer to the deer gun season coming up here. I know it's a little bit later, just the way Thanksgiving worked this year. I think, is it Michigan? I think because Brandon Berg's dad goes to Michigan. He says, I think their season started, is it today? I'll have to double check it, but it's about that time. Get your orange out and get ready. So
I've seen a lot on Facebook. A lot of guys that have gotten some nice big deer.
The rut is getting it's on or getting pretty darn close out there too. So
even see a few horns lying by the side of the highways.
Unfortunately, yep. So, what else we got? We got Bucks back in action tonight, taking on the Utah Jazz. I mean,
who knows?
That's the thing. I don't know. I know Utah's 1-6. There's 3 teams 1-6. Bucks, 76ers, and the Jazz.
Anybody worse than that? Is there anybody that hasn't won a game yet?
Jazz for the longest time didn't win a game. So I think now it's just those 3. Let me just double check. I'm bringing up the standings right now here. But I don't think anybody thought this was going to happen right away for the Bucks to begin the season, right? I mean, for crying out loud, Detroit Pistons are 3-6. But the thing is, when you look at the NBA standings too in the Eastern Conference, Bucks are at the bottom, tied with Philly at 1-6. Obviously, they beat Philly, so they're ahead of them. They're not that far. Like, you got Cleveland, who's undefeated at 9-0, Boston 7-2, but then you've got Indiana and Brooklyn, who are 3-4, but they're 4-4. They're at 500. So it's not.
Yeah, you get on a winning streak. Win 5 out of 6 or 5 out of 7. You can 7 out of 10. You can get back in it. But at this point, watching this team, and I watched them play about 3 of those games or 4 games, partially. I don't know where this is going to come from because I don't see anybody that's going to change all this. I mean, watching the game the other night, Damian Lillard got that shot block, that layup block, and I mean, then he just laid there. I mean, I just don't see any. I don't know, enthusiasm, is that the right word for this team? I'm nervous about this team. I will be honest.
Well, and so after Utah tonight, they got to hop a plane because they got a game tomorrow night. These are your next 2 games for the Bucks after Utah tonight. Knicks and Celtics.
Well,
so
maybe 2-8, maybe 2-8.
Hopefully 2-8. I mean, got to take care of tonight's game first, but then, I mean, Toronto, Detroit, Charlotte after that. But you get on a little bit of run, then you're back in it. You're back in it considering how the Eastern Conference is going this year. So
And I watched the Warriors and the Celtics part of that game last night, and I know the Warriors won, but the Celtics it was more of an exceptional effort from the Warriors than it was the Celtics. But the Celtics are so steady and so smooth, and they've got so many guys they can count on. And it was just one of those things. The Warriors were up for that game last night, and they won. But boy, the Celtics are smooth and good and deep.
I saw this comparison. I think it was Stephen A. Don't quote me 100%, but he compared the Bucks. It might have been somebody else. Now that I think about it, actually, it might have been Bill Simmons. Are the Bucks like the Lakers, where you've got, a big man, Anthony Davis, Giannis, sort of thing, then an aging vet that doesn't want to play defense, LeBron, Dame? Because you look at the last couple of years, the Lakers haven't done anything either for LeBron and Anthony. Is that an accurate comparison, do you think?
I think it is. Yeah, I think the Bucks need to get jolted somehow. I don't know what the jolt would be, but I don't think the jolt is on their roster right now. And you're not going to go get anybody that's going to jolt. I think this is going to be a long season. I think they will go on a streak where they'll get a lot better. But I have no ambition that this is going to be a championship team.
I'm the same way with you right now.
Yeah.
I mean, not even close. They may beat Boston in a couple of days, but that doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, that they're going to beat them in a 7-game playoff series. I wouldn't pick them.
No, I don't think the Bucks are deep. I mean, Boston is deep with the guys. Pritchard comes off the bench, Hauser comes off the bench, and those guys contribute. The guys the Bucks bring off the bench, they don't contribute.
No, the bench play has been awful this year.
Yeah, but I think it's part of the system. The ball's in Damian's hands or the ball's in Giannis's hands. Now, the Celtics obviously have Tatum and Brown, but they got Drew Holiday. White gets a lot of shots, 3-point shots. Horford gets a lot of shots, 3-point shots, but they just do more hustling than the Bucks do. I mean, it's a deeper roster, and they have more of a feeling of playing as a unit with 6 or 7 or 8 guys, not 2.
Yeah. So you got that game, 6:30 tip time, or 7 o'clock tip time, 6:30 pregame, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Let's switch gears here a little bit because GM meetings are going on in the baseball world.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, we got GM meetings, so we're getting some rumors, getting some rumblings out there. Juan Soto, there's some reports out there of 10 teams that have called in or checked in, I should say, on Juan Soto, and it's a lot of the usual suspects out there, including the Dodgers, which yesterday it was announced or reported that the Dodgers are moving Mookie Betts back to the infield, which, yes, creates a hole in right field where Juan Soto plays.
Where are they going to play him, at second base or shortstop?
I didn't see that. I didn't see that yet.
The kid from Kenosha, Racine.
Yeah.
Not very impressive. His glove, the one play in the World Series where he threw the ground ball, got the ground ball and threw it home.
Yep.
That was the worst throw I've seen in a long time. I mean, he missed his catcher from short second base. He was 10 feet off of where that ball should have been thrown.
Can you imagine if the Dodgers get Juan Soto? Oh. Baseball's not even going to be fun.
No.
I mean, come on.
You start with Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, then
Freddie
you go to
Freeman,
Soto, then Freddie Freeman, and then Teoscar Hernandez. You got 5 guys before you ever think you can get out of an inning.
Is that like the new murderer's row?
Oh boy, would it ever!
Modern
and that's
day?
A long murderer's row too.
Yeah, These are the teams that have called about Juan Soto. Oh, quick!
How much do you think he's going to get?
There's one number out there at $700 million.
Same as Shohei.
Yeah, this was $700 million. Actually, Bob Nightingale just posted this for his new piece at USA Today. Juan Soto is, quote, the Mona Lisa, as MLB's top free agent Scott Boras says. Well, and that's super agent Scott Boras too. So
yeah,
these were the teams, though, according to John Heyman, that have called about Juan Soto: Yankees, Mets, and with those two, there's a report too that those could be the 2 teams that are really competing for Juan Soto. Dodgers.
He likes New York, reported. He likes playing with the Yankees. I don't know how much of an in that is for the Yankees, but we'll see.
Dodgers, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Giants, and the Tampa Bay Rays.
Wow.
That one kind of surprised me there. Tampa Bay Rays.
Well, also surprising is the Red Sox. What, all of a sudden they decide they're going to spend money again because they've been off the money trail and their teams have shown it for the last, well, since the year Mookie Betts left and went to LA. They didn't do anything to replace him, and they haven't done anything to replace anybody since. So if they're going to go to that, they're going to make more moves than just Juan Soto. They might sign Corbin Burns. There could be a lot of wheels rolling if they would do that. But I can't imagine they're going to be in the mix for Juan Soto at $700 million.
Yeah, I think let's assume that Mets and Yankees had the same offers. Boston would have to go over those, I think, just to have a shot to get him. But I should note there was another team that extended a contract offer to Juan Soto. They tweeted it out last night. That'd be the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. Contract is to include the Bratzuka whenever desired. So
good for them.
And they photoshopped him in a Timber Rattler jersey over there too. So a couple of Brewers notes.
What's the matter with Tyson and the Express? Step up to the plate, Craig. Come on.
There you go.
Get on the game. Get in the game here.
Well, I know he's a Twins fan too. And Twins are selling, so maybe Craig, if you want to be a Twins fan or a Twins owner there too.
There you go.
But Brewers wise, a couple of notes here. One, maybe a former Brewer here pretty soon, but Willy Adames. There was a report that Willy Adames is potentially open to switching positions to a different spot in the infield if it's for the right ball club, a contending ball club, and price-wise too. Because one team, again, no surprise, that has been potentially connected to Willy Adames to play third is the Mets. They have Francisco Lindor, obviously, at shortstop, but we know David Stearns over there, and the Mets have been a team that's reportedly interested in him playing third base. There's been a couple teams, haven't seen the team's names, but possibly over at second base as well. He wants to play short, but he's open depending on the situation.
Dodgers need a second baseman because Gavin Lux isn't going to be their future second baseman. And I know they talked about that, how disappointed they were in his performance, that they thought they had more in Gavin Lux than they've been getting.
So
and his performance in the World Series didn't enhance his opportunities any.
And then Devin Williams. There are some GMs, we were talking about this the other day, but there was a couple of executives out there thinking that he could be acquired could be acquired this offseason by a trade from the Brewers.
What was the action the Brewers took?
They declined his option, but he's still under team control, so he kind of reverts back to arbitration. So last year's, they avoided arbitration by agreeing to a one-year deal with him with another option on there. But because this is the arbitration thing, that he missed quite a bit of time last year, his option would have been for over $10 million for this year. Since he missed a lot of time, that factors into the arbitration so they can either keep him cheaper, less money, or maybe this is a little bit more of a appealing potentially for a new team to, acquire him because they could get him a little bit cheaper or potentially work out a new deal for him too. So, but there are executives out there thinking, could he be a guy on the move? But then it's the question of, do you want to do it now? Do you do it before the trade deadline? That balancing act a little bit. I feel like he's going to be traded this offseason, to be honest with you.
I do too. I'm afraid of it too. I mean, he threw one bad ball pretty much, and otherwise he's been a valuable part of that team, no question about it. But it's unfortunate that the last ball he threw was the one to Alonso. But he's been a great player for the Brewers, great pitcher, great relief pitcher, and I have nothing bad to say about him. It's one of those things. That's why they play the game. And we lost Corbin Burns. We're going to lose Willy Adames. It's just an unfortunate fact of life in a small market.
Yeah. So I mean, you type in Devin Williams into Google search, and you've got a bunch of rumors for Devin Williams from different teams out there. So
there are not many that wouldn't want him.
Yeah. But I feel like he's going to be gone before the season starts. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. Kind of like the Corbin Burns situation.
Yep. Yeah, and it might be just a couple weeks before spring training, like Corbin Burns too. It not necessarily going to be this month, but yeah, I feel like it's It's going to happen.
And that's a sad thing because this team, as it was constructed this past season, not that far away. Just a couple of unfortunate mistakes in the playoffs there against the Mets. I mean, they should have won the first 2 games and it would have been over. But they let them get away. And, you know, in the playoffs, the team only needs an extra breath. And that's what the Mets got. And they, you know, they fought L.A. They weren't near as good a team as L.A., but they never gave up. And the Mets aren't that far away either. If they can, you know, get they get Juan Soto, and I think they're going to keep Alonso. It sounds like Pete Alonso is going to stay with the Mets now. And some of the other guys they've got some pitching. But yeah, the Brewers, it's always tough to be a fan, you know, of a team like the Brewers or the, you know, Cleveland or Detroit or Minnesota. It's a balancing act, and you can't keep them like they can in LA and New York and places like that. You know, it's just a given. That's the way the system works. Especially in baseball, there's not that equal revenue sharing of the TV networks because it's so diversified with all the regional networks and everything else.
I was just reading a little bit more here about the Mookie Betts thing because it popped up for a Willie Adames thing here, and this is from USA Today here. And now with the news that Betts is returning to the infield, most likely to second base where he was projected to be last season, it leaves general managers in the league wondering if the Dodgers will strongly pursue free agent shortstop Willie Adames, re-sign outfielder Teoscar Hernandez, pursue Soto, trade infielder Gavin Lux, or possibly go with an outfield of Tommy Edman, Andy Pages, and either James Outman or Chris Taylor. But the Willie Adames rumor is still there, too, for the Dodgers.
If they bring him back, if they take Adames to the Dodgers, that Tommy Harmon or whatever the kid they got from the Cardinals, he's an outfielder. You know, he'll go to the outfield. He'll play the outfield before Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor's way on the downside of his career. And, you know, he's still dependable at times, not nearly as what he used to be. But if they get Willie Adames, Harmon will go to the outfield.
I was just kind of looking over here, too. Like, if Gavin Lux is available, would you like him with the Brewers? I don't think he can play. He played 1 game at third, I'm looking right now, because I know there's talk like
kid from Racine or Kenosha or someplace down there.
Kenosha, yeah.
And I don't know what caused his, I don't know, demise is the right word, but he didn't have a good season. He didn't have a good postseason.
You know, because I know it could be Terang or Ortiz that fills in at short. I feel like it's going to be more Ortiz at this point. So then I'd want, selfishly, I want a power bat at third then.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. It's not Gavin Lux.
No. Because Terang, I mean, I'd rather keep him at second, to be honest with you. Just his range, Gold Glove winning.
Oh, yeah.
Bryce Terang now. So
did he win a Gold Glove too?
He did. Sal Frelick did too. So
good for them. I know Frelick won it, but I didn't know Terang did it.
Yep, those two won her. So, and then Matt Arnold did win Executive of the Year the other day too. So
good for him. Yeah. Yep. Wow, Matt Arnold signed those 2 guys to a long-term contract.
Right.
You know, otherwise they're going to be gone. Let's face it, they're improving all the time.
Sure looks like his gamble on Jackson Chourio worked out.
Exactly.
Trying to combine Jackson and Joey Ortiz into one right there.
But
that'd be a heck of a player.
Is he receiver defer? He's too late already with a long-term contract with Frelick and Terang because they're getting the recognition now that they're among the best in baseball. And they're not bad. Either one of them aren't bad offensively either.
You know, Frelick's not the biggest power guy, but he's going to get you on base. And that home run though that he hit in that last game would have been such a.
Oh yeah.
God, now that you just said the Devin Williams and now Frelick, I just got bad feelings again from that game.
Yeah.
What a disappointment.
Yep.
What a kick in the what that was. Holy
yeah, it was.
Holy.
Yeah, but God. Being from Wisconsin, we're used to it.
Oh. That's thoughts. I'm replaying it all in my head again. God, wow. Well, but that's the one thing I do appreciate with baseball though too. There's no long drawn out like can't do this for a while. As soon as that World Series is over with, bam, they're into it right away with off-season moves and decisions and rumors and reports and the hot stove season's going on. So it's not like football where you've got Super Bowl, then it's like month off. Then you can do some stuff, and it's just But
there's stuff getting done behind the scenes. You know that.
100%.
That's what I mean. Why fool us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or try to fool us because we know what's going on. People know that you're already doing deals. Because 5 minutes after it opens, all of a sudden somebody signs a multi-million-dollar contract. That deal was done how many weeks or months
I mean,
ago?
the legal tampering doesn't work.
Yeah, really.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll switch gears here, do a little outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Bulks. He's coming up after these few words.
The Dan Casper Show will be right back.
Are you dealing with any aches and pains this season or an injury that just doesn't seem to heal? You don't have to live your life dealing with pain every single day. With Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, you can start to live your life pain-free. Whether you are a professional athlete, weekend warrior, or simply have an aching joint, rest assured that you will receive unsurpassed care delivered with compassion and respect. So make your appointment today by visiting cvosm.com and start living that pain-free, healthy life.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
How many of you listening right now have younger kids? Okay. Now, how many of you have hardwood floors in your home? All right, quite a few of you. Now, here's a simple equation for you. Hardwood floors plus younger, energetic kids equals black marks, wear and tear, multiple different things. The point is, your floors can take a beating, especially if you have younger kids playing around or even riding their bike around the house. Hey, don't ask. I know from experience. And we don't want to stop our kiddos from having fun, but we also don't want to ruin our floors. So what do? Easy. Go take a visit to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. The entire team there will help you select the best floor that fits your needs. Perhaps even some Rigid Max flooring that is scratch, dent, and impact resistance that's unmatched in the industry. So what are you waiting for? Get that new floor today from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and take comfort in knowing your new floor can handle those energetic kids.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-748-5713. 800-748-5713. 800-748-5713.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
It's fall in Wisconsin, which also means it's hunting season. And to get ready for hunting season in Wisconsin, it's about time to make a visit to your favorite locally owned and operated gun store, Tilden Gun. Need a new deer rifle? Or are you looking for you or someone's first deer rifle? Or do you just want a new one just because? If you answered yes to all of those, and even if you didn't, go give Sean and Hunter at Tilden Gun a visit. The biggest and best variety and the best prices in the Chippewa Valley, Tilden Gun will help you find the deer rifle you're looking for to help you succeed in the outdoors. Have a specific model and brand in mind? With the awesome customer service you get at Tilden Gun, they will help you find just what you're looking for. They're not going to be a pushy salesperson and try to convince you to buy something that you don't want. But if you're looking for advice or help, they're right there to lend that hand. So stop by their shop at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls or visit their website at tildengun.com. Welcome to hunting season, Wisconsin. On behalf of Tilden Gun, be safe, best of luck, and have fun in the great outdoors.
Do you know of anyone who needs some help chasing their dreams and passions? Backyard Dreams wants to help. Email us at info@sportstalk1051.com so we can help.
Answering your questions and giving you the tips you need to be successful and safe in the outdoors. It's time for your Outdoor Tidbits. Have a question you'd like answered by Jake? Send it to us, and we'll ask for you.
It is time for our Outdoor Tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin. Jake, we're in November now, man. Blaze orange season's nearly upon us. Good morning, bud. How you doing?
Morning, doing great.
Got,
it is that time of year.
Yeah, no kidding, man. So, well, let's just jump right into it. We've had a few people actually ask about this, and this is what I sent you a little bit earlier, but there was an article on the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel from about potential changes to some deer units and such. And I know it's still in the early phases, and you know, I know you're not, it's kind of, you know, the not really political, the right way to say it, Jake, or, you know, kind of outside your wheelhouse a little bit, but at the same time,
just a different program.
Yeah, different program sort of thing there. So I know you're probably going to get a lot of questions about it too, but did you have a chance to kind of take a look at it a little bit?
Yeah, I'd heard of it potentially happening and such, and yeah, I mean, it's good to see that they kind of put a report on it and whatnot. And if anyone doesn't know exactly what you're saying, they're talking about the GMUs with the deer hunting season in 2025. So the important thing about, like, when you look at deer hunting is that you really have to just focus on what the rules are, you know, like this year or the year that you're hunting. So it's really cool to see that potentially they're looking at, you know, changing something up to give more opportunity or to make it more, I guess, aligned with what people are seeing out in the woods and fields and when they're out hunting. But something just important to note is, like, if anything does switch, it would be for next year. This year, for 2024, you know, we're already deep into the archery season, but with the archery season, the gun deer season coming up, you know, nothing has changed too much. It's, you know, a lot of buck only areas, unless you get bonus antlerless deer, and it's county by county right now. So you really want to focus on this year before changing any of your hunting behaviors.
I was just reading a little bit of it too. It almost sounds like I remember a while ago when it was, you know, we had the units like 26, 24, and something similar to this, but different numbered units. It kind of seems like.
Yeah, and you mentioned it well. You know, so this, I saw that Jeff Pritzel is the one that's kind of the spokesperson for this. He's one of our, you know, deer guys. This is in the wildlife division. So we have say, or they work with our division of law enforcement throughout these processes. But the deer management and habitat management and different stuff is all through them. So we don't have a ton of info in it. But I guess, yeah, it's just we don't have a ton, but we're out there helping enforce it.
Mm-hmm. Jake, too, obviously, the rut's kind of going on or just picking up where, depending on where people are starting to hunt and such. And what's been like the baiting situation in certain areas for you? Have you noticed an uptick in that recently?
Yeah, it's that time of year. Everyone's out, whether if you're out rut hunting now or getting ready, it's a really good time to get out and check your deer stands and make sure everything's, still up if you haven't been in the woods, the tree hasn't fallen and whatnot. So we are seeing people that are going out and getting ready for the deer season, and they're also putting out some bait, whether legal or illegal. So you got to be mindful. It seems like we've talked with a lot of people lately, especially in this part of the state, where they're baiting a lot, even if you can bait, and they're using gravity feeders. So as a reminder, even though you go to Fleet Farm or whatever store and there's gravity feeders for sale, it doesn't mean they're legal for deer hunting. So for deer hunting, you can't use any sort of mechanical or gravity fed like deer baiting or deer feeding devices year round. And then most counties are no bait counties. So, zero bait, zero feed. Clark County did open up this year. So Clark County reopened to baiting. So you can bait if you hunt in Clark County, but it's 2 gallons per person per 40 acres. So when you're hunting your spot in the county forest or on private land, you can only have 2 gallons at any one time.
Good note there too. So we got a text that just kind of came in. Can you reiterate the law for a pop-up ground blind using on the public land? How long can they stay on public land? Do you have to take down every evening? Can you leave up, but for how many days? Orange on top of the blind, correct?
So the blind law applies to state land. So on county lands, you don't necessarily have to follow the blaze orange or blaze pink requirements. If you're on any state land, the top of your blind, or it's 144 square inches, has to be blaze pink or orange. But if you're on private land, you don't have to have that requirement. And county lands, some county lands allow you to have them on there. Some have their own rules that require it. Some don't allow you to use them or don't need you to have them. So the big distinction between a lot of like the trail cameras and deer stands and ground blinds and closed areas versus open areas to hunt is a lot of our regulations when it comes to equipment are state, like are based on like if you're hunting state properties, state wildlife areas, state fishery areas, stuff like that. When it comes to like what zones and stuff, that's more of a statewide and can you shoot a doe or whatnot, and we enforce that statewide. But when it comes to equipment use like that, you really want to check with the county or go to the county's website and make sure that there's no special regulations that they ask you to do on county properties, because they have ordinances for some of that kind of stuff.
Good note too. Yeah, that's I think that's a good point too, Jake. And I know we've kind of talked about that with fishing too. There's just outside the DNR stuff, there's potentially county rules and ordinances too.
Yeah. So I get a lot of questions right now, a lot of calls, and I like that. So if you have calls, questions, feel free to give me a call. But when it comes to county land, we just basically enforce that you're hunting during open season, baiting, that you're shooting the right deer at the right time, stuff like that. But a lot of those county lands, like, you said, or even some city lands, they might have their own ordinances or rules where you have to be this, or you can't have stands, or there are a lot of counties that actually allow you to leave your stands out there overnight and different stuff like that. So just really make sure you know what property you're hunting on, who owns it, and what you can and can't do. And I really encourage it. I see it a lot. I see a lot of really, really good sportsmen and women out there reading the rigs. They know what they're doing. They know it all. They know the job maybe better than I do, or the regs maybe better than I do. But there are a fair amount of people that I don't think they've opened up a regulations book in 10 years, and in the last 10 years, a lot has changed. So I really encourage people to get out there and drink some coffee or drink a beer at night and go through that regulations pamphlet.
Jake, I wanted to kind of maybe recap like albino deer because, well, I see them quite a bit on our field, our land. Actually, I just last week Friday when I was going out, there was 3 of them just bedded down, laying down. They were letting me walk back and forth out there. But obviously they're really cool, and people maybe kind of looking, okay, is there a brown spot or is there a spot on there to where because maybe they want to get their tied or high tanned, excuse me. But I think it was you and I were talking about it last year too. Got to be careful with that because of the certain glands on deer could change the color, correct?
Yeah. So in Wisconsin, you cannot shoot albino or white deer. So albino, I mean, there's definitions. I'm not going to read them off verbatim, but basically albino deers are the ones with the pink hooves and red eyes and stuff like that. A white deer is just going to be a deer that's, 95%, 99% predominantly white. A white deer is defined as like all white except for areas around like the antlers, the glands, and they don't have like the red eyes and such. So they're basically all white except for those spots where naturally whatever they're secreting or whatever they're rubbing against is going to turn their fur brown, but it doesn't make them a legal deer to shoot. So if you have a white deer on your property and you're thinking about harvesting it, you really want to like take the time, whether it's your trail camera pictures or if it's in front of you when you're hunting, to get a good look at all sides of it and see, like, are there brown spots or darker, I guess black spots. I doubt that, but are there different colored spots on the deer that makes it not a white deer? We generally go by like if there's a softball size brown spot somewhere on that deer on the side, on the back, whatever, then that's not going to be a white deer. But if it's all white except for near the glands and the antlers, then yeah, you can't shoot that deer.
What's the fine?
It depends. It depends on the situation, but it could be anywhere from a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 and losing your hunting privileges.
Yeah. So we see them every year, man. I think I sent you a video last year. It was during rifle season. There was one walking around me. So
yeah, there's definitely some big splotches of them here and there throughout the region, and I think they're not hunted, so I think their populations are growing, and culturally we protect them because they're cool to see and stuff like that. Maybe someday it'll change, but yeah, when in doubt, and that's what I tell everyone for not just deer hunting, but fishing, trapping, ATV and boating, whatever. When in doubt, or if you're like, I think I could, but I couldn't. A lot of times there's more deer in the landscape. There's more fish in the rivers. Just like pass on that one and take a different one.
Really quick, Jake, we had a last second text come in here. A gentleman's asking if there's any rules when it comes to electronic calling, as he says, electronic calling for like an old guy who is 65 and it's hard to carry in a rattle, probably those rattle bags or antlers and all that stuff that it takes. Is electric calling against the rules in Wisconsin?
It's illegal for waterfowl and turkey.
Okay.
So you can use it for most other species. So I would assume deer is what he's referencing. So yeah, you can use it for that. But yeah, turkey and waterfowl, you're not allowed to. So yeah.
And obviously predators are a big one too, where you can use the electronic calls.
Predator. Most of the times you see that is, you're right. Predator hunting, stuff like that is the most common.
What's the status of the elk hunt? I know we had the drawing. What, are they doing that? Have they done it? What's up?
Yeah. The elk hunt is, the season's officially open, but all the tags are filled. So,
filled already?
The season, yeah, they were filled in the first couple days. So I don't know all the specifics up on the Clam Lake herd, but down in the Black River herd, I think 2 were shot on Saturday or Sunday, and then 2 were shot on Monday of that opening weekend. So they were, by Monday evening, the wildlife biologist had already sent out an email saying, season's over down here. Elk are legally harvested. They're nice ones. They're harvested. They're registered. They're good to go. I did read the Outdoor News. I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, their paper, and they had at least 2 stories from the hunt down here. One of the 10-year-old and one of someone else that was hunting some private property. So if you're curious on just someone's quick little synopsis of their hunt, it's written up in an article in there. So a lot of good success, a lot of happy hunters, a lot of nice bulls that were harvested. So a good season, good first inaugural season for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Jake's actually going to be in studio next week as we get set for the deer gun season. So extended version of Jake. What was it that he was supposed to bring in for us? Was it duck, Bob? I think was it some duck that he got?
Coot.
That's what it was.
Coot. I am going down. I'm going down to Mississippi next week, right before that. So maybe I'll shoot you up a couple coot and bring them in
there.
Before that.
I'll be gone next week.
Oh, well, I guess I get to have your portion. So,
eat the coot.
Jake, we appreciate it, buddy. As always, be safe out there, and looking forward to catching up with you next week, sir.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Appreciate you guys having me on, and good luck to everyone out hunting the rut and archery season right now.
Absolutely. All right, we'll talk to you soon, bud. There we go. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin. All right.
Coot doesn't sound as good as Salisbury steak to me.
Oh, I know we had a buddy of mine was listening when we talked to him last time, talking about crane and ribeye of the sky. He's like, I've never heard about that. I'm like, I just heard about it a few years ago. Somebody told me that apparently it's really good. I've never had it, but
I never have either.
I can't remember if that's what they call it. Did he say Texas? I don't know, but yeah, ribeye of the sky, man. All right, quick break, and we'll do some picks and predicts coming up here tonight. Are we going to pick the Bucks to win against the Jazz or not? Find out coming up after these quick words. All right, let's wrap things up with little picks and predicts this morning, shall we? Reminder too, there will be no program tomorrow because I'm going to sit in a stand all day and probably not get anything, but I'm going to try.
Good for you.
I'm going to try. Because you can't get it from the couch, right?
That's exactly right. And you don't mount many pictures from your trail cam.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So got to fill the freezer up. So, but we'll be back Monday. And I mean, it just worked out perfect. This is usually try to do it one of the first Fridays in November, match it up with the rut, and there's no Packer game. So boom, it was perfect. Let's do some
no Badger game either.
No Badger game either. That's right. That's going to take a little bit of adjustment too. 2 buys for me there. I keep forgetting about that too. So
a relaxing weekend, in other words.
Yeah. Well, unless you're a diehard Bucks fan, then you might be a little stressed out here. But tonight we'll pick that game coming up here for the Bucks. Picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place. Again, if you're maybe looking for somewhere to catch some of these games, or you want to hang out with some good company and talk some sports and check out all the different sports memorabilia that's up on the walls at the Elbow Room, go on over there. We've got just a couple games on the NBA slate. T-Wolves at the Bulls.
T-Wolves.
Yep.
And I think, and Anthony Edwards, I think, is growing into the position of being the star.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still a little erratic at times, but he's going to be good by the time he gets done.
I agree. Portland at San Antonio.
I don't know how good Portland is. They're so far away. I haven't followed them. I'm going to take San Antonio. I just like that Wembanyama. I think he's got a great attitude, great skills, and I just think he's getting better all the time.
Portland is 3-5, but they're in that remember that Northwest division that has OKC, Denver, and Minnesota in there, and they're all ahead of Portland and Utah. Utah's dead last in there, 1-6, and it is the Jazz taking on the Bucks. Bucks actually favored by 9.5 in this game.
Taking the Jazz. I'm not picking the Bucks till they can prove to me that they can play some defense. I mean, the Jazz might score 140 points against the Bucks. Jazz all the
way. I reluctantly go for the Bucks, and I hate saying that. Isn't that sad saying that?
It is. I mean, I say that in jest, obviously, but they don't play defense.
Yeah. Yep. Come on, just get a win, please. Get a win.
Yeah, whoever expected they would be 1-6.
Golly. Wow. Let's do. Oh, I mean, we do have Thursday Night Football. I know you always look forward to Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime.
Oh, I never miss it.
Bengals at Baltimore, which is actually a decent matchup tonight too. So.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah,
well, I'll take at Baltimore.
At Baltimore,
I'll take the Ravens.
I'm going to take the Ravens too. They are favored by 6, which is okay, but yeah, I'm going to go Baltimore in this one. So. Party at your house to watch the game, right?
Absolutely. Come on over, bring your own beer, but we'll be
bring
up
some
all
Salisbury
night.
steak.
Oh man, you bring Salisbury steak and you get the front seat right in front of the big TV.
Might be a while before the game actually comes through. I might have to wait for highlights until it's after.
All I want to do is give Jeff Bezos more money.
Oh, that's awesome. So those are your picks and predicts brought to you by the
Or maybe I'll bring
Room.
Salisbury steak to your place.
Okay,
you watch it? You watch it on Thursday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Especially this time of year, we have it. We get Prime for like when we do some Christmas shopping or whatever. If we have to get something off there, we try to keep it more local. But sometimes the kiddo wants some random thing over there. So, or we take advantage of like the free 30-day trial. Try to time it up that way. So,
I got to show you the jacket I bought. I was watching. I don't know. I spin up and down the dial and that Home Shopping Network.
Yeah.
And I saw Carl Banks. Remember him?
Yeah.
He used to be the linebacker. Yep. He was there. And they were selling these pseudo suede NFL jackets.
Ooh.
And
I'm a big jacket fan.
I wait till you see this one.
Oh,
and boy. I was watching, they always start at an ungodly high price.
Yep.
And then they bring them down. And then they brought them down to where I thought, this is a good buy. I pulled the trigger. I never bought before on the Home Shopping Network.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever. And I thought, this is going to be a dogfight. And, I called and, what's your name, address, card number, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, we'll ship it tomorrow. And I got it like in 2 or 3 days. I bought one for myself and my 2 sons, 3 of them. and they're beautiful jackets. I'll have to.
Wonder if it's this one that I just pulled up on their website. When we're done here, you'll have to come in here and see if it's this one.
Yeah, it's
over here.
It's pseudo suede, and it's got the blue N on one sleeve.
Okay, so it must be this black, but then green and yellow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
a nice looking jacket.
God dang it, Bob.
It's a nice.
I love my jackets, and Veronica gets annoyed with it, but
G-Man will be proud of me.
He would. This is something G-Man probably would. Oh yeah, he would wear 100%.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
Dang
and they have them for every team, and they're really nice looking jackets. And I thought, boy, I've never done this before, but I'm really spreading my wings.
Why'd you got to tell me that now?
Because I never buy that stuff online.
No.
And the last thing then comes, I don't like it. It doesn't fit. I got to send it back. No thanks. But this, and I'm happy with what I did. So I'll have to bring it in and show it to you.
Yeah, because it says.
I'll take a look. I mean, and on me when I got it on, I look so much better.
Oh, here's the video we got with Carl Banks on there too.
Yeah, those are the jackets.
Yep.
Yeah, nice jackets.
Son of a gun.
Pseudo suede, and they're really, green, black in the body, and green and gold, yellow, whatever.
Dang. Son of a gun.
Jackets.
Yeah, that is. So, all right. What else do we got here on the docket?
Can't believe I'm one up on you.
I know.
On jackets and jerseys.
Well, we got a hallway closet and jackets in there. It's all full up, pretty much 75% of me. So if I end up getting this, Veronica is going to be like, it's going to have to be like, okay, you get one, you got to get rid of one, and I can't do that.
Yeah, I know it. That's the way it works.
That's why I love fall.
Well, jacket she doesn't have to know everything.
Oh, she will notice it.
She does, huh?
Oh, yeah.
She knows you.
That's what's annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's annoying at that time. You can't get away with anything now. Not one thing. So.
And the kid's growing up the same way. So she's got a double-edged sword on her hand.
Oh, yeah. Yep. 100%. How did Halloween go for you last week, by the way?
Good. It was kind of as we know, kind of a nasty night, but I had a bunch of kids, and I love it. And I can tell the generation difference. Kids came to the door, and I'm trying to guess what costume they said. I said, "Oh, you're an astronaut. I'm a Power Ranger." So I'm a little out of the loop in some of these, and other ones came with some of these modern game, people or whatever they are, animation, and I think I got one right. Cowboy. One guy was a cowboy. I said, "You're a cowboy." Yeah, he said, "I'm a cowboy." But I got, oh man, the kids would laugh and the parents would laugh, and we had a good time. And the good thing about it was I bought a whole bunch of candy, and it was kind of a nasty night.
Yeah.
So I was giving these kids, normally I give out 2 or 3. I was giving them a handful of candy, and the folks were like, "That's a lot." I said, "I don't want any left over." So they got a lot of candy at my house, but it was fun. I love having the kids around.
Best one I think I saw was a kid that actually dressed up as a Christian Yelich card.
Oh,
had the card back and front, and it was awesome. So
I got to tell you what happened yesterday was my birthday, and my little neighbor guys, Owen and Reese. Owen's about 5 years old, and Reese is 2 years old, and they go fishing with their dad. Owen and his dad go fishing, and when they get done fishing, his dad will say, "Oh, we got to go. We're all done." He says, "We got enough for Bob?" And they always go fishing, and they bring me a bag full of fillets of whatever.
Yep.
And last night I had to go bowling. Then I came home, and they knocked on my door, and Reese and Owen were there with a little birthday cake and a card for me. So
that's awesome.
I just love the kids.
That's awesome.
Love the kids.
That's so cool. Really quick, Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran getting set to start their game today. State volleyball. Best of luck to all of our teams down over at Green Bay.
Good kids doing good things.
Yep.